Dragons do not do well in captivity.
How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
Welcome back to the Fairweather Friends podcast. As always, I'm Veg. To my left, Ricky.
Hi, Nico.
Hi, Nico. That is Lori's dog, right?
Yep.
All right. Before we introduce our guest, our friend for this episode, quick updates. Mostly the get-rich slow schemes are even slower when you have a full-time job and don't participate in them very often. On days I work, I might play the games that get me credits for like an hour while watching TV at the end of the night before I go to bed. The scratch ticket one, most of I just don't even do half the time because I don't want to deal with waiting through the ads.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for me to keep up on Words with Friends, because then I'll play a game and it's like a 15-second ad that'll freeze. And like, just turn it off.
Yeah, Words of Friends, half the time I claim the gifts or whatever, the rewards, it then freezes and I have to exit the app and go back in.
That's nice.
Honestly, probably wouldn't play the game at all if it wasn't for fiance. At the end of the night, she'll play back like instantly, and then I feel obligated. But it's fun. It's fun.
We got to do the team one.
There's Team Words with Friends?
Yeah, Words with Friends 2. You get a team.
Oh, I haven't downloaded 2. That's actually one of the games on Mist Play or whatever, the Get Rich
sweet.
Slow one, but I haven't downloaded it and tried it because I don't know anyone who used it.
Well, I'll have to convert everybody, get a game going.
I'll have to try, and you always get more credit units or whatever when you first start playing a game.
Nice.
Like in any game, you level up the fastest in the beginning, and then it gets
So you
harder
get
and
more
takes
for
on.
inviting people, because we could just invite everybody.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not usually. No, any updates for you?
Just filling out the petition to have her become a citizen.
Oh, nice. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I have to get it looked over by a lawyer, because it's a $500 fee, and then if you mess up, they call you out on anything, then you just got to do it again.
And pay again?
Yeah,
Bullshit.
yeah.
Free Lori Chef. Free Lori Chef. I don't know. She's probably the only Canadian trying to come to the United States right now for...
Yeah. Are you more free in
something.
Canada or the U.S. these days? Like,
Okay.
Well, I think in the U.S. you can do anything you want now. It's martial law. You can have
except pay to have someone beat you up in Chicago.
I was just going to say you can do that, but
Well, you
yeah, if you get caught, it looks bad.
Yeah.
File a police report.
There we go. Just don't file a police report.
And they're our friend for this episode, Ryan Redmond.
I like to refer to him as the Summer Ricky.
I was going to say, do you recognize that reference, Ryan?
The Summer Ricky?
Or the Summer Me? It's a Seinfeld episode. So there's an episode where you find out that Jerry and George were friends as kids, but George always went to like summer camp, or he went somewhere during the summer, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I forgot about this too when Ricky first started referring to it. I was like, what? So then, yeah, you find out that Jerry would always come back and talk about this other friend he had during the summer. And so George always called that other guy Summer Me. And then in that episode, of course, he comes as an adult and he calls George Winter Me.
Yeah, that's pretty funny whenever they meet.
I need to rewatch Seinfeld. I was thinking that the other day, but my new computer doesn't have a DVD drive in it, so I don't know. It's a lot of hassle to not be at my computer when I want to watch something.
Seinfeld on Hulu?
Yeah.
Oh, Sunny's on Hulu too. It's probably the only thing better about Hulu than Netflix.
South Park, Sunny, and Seinfeld's a pretty good rotation.
Yeah, they did
Yeah, it's
another
not bad.
Seinfeld reference the other day that I didn't know, and I was embarrassed.
Throw on your HBO trial. Watch some Curb.
I'm definitely gonna get HBO Go here next month, because if you try pirating HBO shows, they are cracking down on you right now.
Yeah, they used to embrace it, but now there's so much money in Thrones and everything else that they're making that they don't like to brag anymore about their shows being the most illegally
Yeah, they're
They're
downloaded.
very quietly cracking down, though.
Yeah, they as soon as HBO Go came out, they were no longer thinking it was funny that their shows were the most illegally downloaded.
Worth money.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna wait till the beginning of next month. I've finished 3 seasons of the rewatch of Game of Thrones, so I'm ahead of my pace. I knew once I started, it would turn into like mini binge mode sessions, and so that's why I tried to wait.
Two of my favorite shows are on HBO. Silicon Valley and Barry.
I need to catch up on Silicon Valley and Barry, actually. Both very good shows.
Drov wanted to do our friend and fan Dynasty League Commissioner Drov wanted to do like an episode a day to rewatch Thrones leading up to the premiere, and he finished it in like a week and a half. He just ended up binging the entire series.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, somebody put out on the internet a schedule that was like, if you keep to this schedule, it was basically like an episode or 2 episodes a night, and then you would have like a 2-day break at the end of each season, and you would end up finishing it like
right on time for
with 1 day between like the new season. So you'd have like a 1-day break after. That was like a perfect schedule. But yeah, it meant only watching 2 episodes a day and taking 2 days off like between seasons. It's like no one's doing that.
Yep.
But that was a great segue. I need to thank you for getting me into one of my favorite fantasy football leagues ever.
Dynasty League.
We've met.
The only problem with it
League.
is there's no money on the line.
Ooh.
And the reason I'm upset about that is because I'm the back-to-back champion.
Yeah, but it's just going to be you or I winning it. Like we're on a different level than everyone else in that league. You've won the last 2. I won prior to that.
And 2 years ago, I beat you in the finals.
You beat me in the semi. Oh, well, yeah, 2 years ago you beat me.
2 years ago, I beat you in the finals. This last year, you lost to, was it Deichko? In the semis?
No. I lost. Who did I lose to? I don't even remember now.
I think it was Deichko.
Maybe.
Either way, the dude, he was slaughtering everybody. Like the
No, I lost to Randy, who then lost Gurley, and I beat Deichko in the 3rd place game.
Oh, okay. So I beat. Okay. Well, yeah. Randy had the 3 previous weeks. He'd outscored like everybody in the league by like 40. So I assumed I was going to get slaughtered in the finals. I ended up winning it, and you were the only one to outscored me in the finals. So if you had won your semifinal, you would have won last year.
Damn.
Yep. And well, that was the year before I won it. You lost in the finals after beating me on a garbage time Jay Cutler touchdown in the semifinals on Monday Night Football. And then I scored the most out of anybody in the finals week, and you lost to Drov like spectacularly in the Super Bowl. It was terrible. I was pissed.
I think we can consider all of Jay Cutler's football to be garbage time.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
Like I got way too many chances. Last year I won one of my other main. So I won 2 out of 4 leagues, and in the 2 leagues I won, you were the only one who outscored me the final week in both leagues. So I actually like earned my championships. But yeah, I like that league. 'Cause it's Dynasty, so it's an auction. If you draft a guy, you get him at that price for 3 years. If you pick him up mid-year, you get him at that price till the end of the year, and it costs an extra $5 to extend him. So
extend anybody.
Year, yeah, well, 5 years to extend anybody. If it's a free
Yeah.
agent, you have to extend him at the end of the year or let him go.
Yeah.
Every time. And that's why I got I have Alvin Kamara on that. So he was $1 2 years ago, and I picked him up in like week 4 when Adrian Peterson got traded. And then this year I had him for 6. So I'm definitely extending him for 11. Him and Zeke. And I got a huge decision to make on whether to transition from Tom Brady, who carried me to my last 2 championships, and if I cut him, I save $9, and I've got Andrew Luck for $1 for 1 more year.
You go all in on Luck.
It's what I feel like. But this year, I started playing Luck at the end of his little streak of 3 touchdown games.
It's like a rookie contract.
And as soon as I started playing him, though, he did crappy, and I had to go back to Brady in the playoffs to get my championship. So I'm afraid of letting Brady
Your
go.
team name was Riding the Goat, though.
My team name is Riding the Goat. Goat as in greatest of all time. Though my picture is literally a guy fucking a goat.
Mine was jacking off saved my season.
I've got a couple of salary cap decisions like that as well. I've had Tyreek Hill for $1 the last 3 years since he was a rookie, and now I'm gonna
You got to build around that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him for $6 and probably next year and probably $11 the year after that.
I have only one player that cost me double digits, and it's Zeke for like 26.
Dang.
I had so much money last year, and there was like 3 good running backs to get. It was Zeke, Fournette. I forget who the other one was.
Saquon Barkley.
Oh yeah, Saquon Barkley. And Barkley and Fournette went first. I was afraid to put too much money on them and not get Zeke, so then I ended up just putting all my money on Zeke because I needed nothing else. But
Fournette, that candle burned out.
Yeah, thank God I didn't go that way out. Speaking of sports, though, this last Sunday, UFC had its first main card on ESPN.
I watched it.
I thought you watched it. Did you watch that, Ryan?
I didn't realize it started an hour earlier than normal. Normally they start at 7 p.m. Pacific. This one started at 6. So I missed the first couple fights, but I definitely caught the main event. All 23 seconds of it.
Yeah, so I didn't even see the video. I just saw comments on Twitter and shit. What happened there?
It is his body looked like Zion's whenever Zion went down.
I did see the. Oh, I saw a picture. Wouldn't he look way out of shape too?
A little bit. Well, he was a heavyweight.
He's a heavyweight.
So you're like, oh, he must have tore his ACL or something, because you could see him screaming and there's no contact made. Like, he was just yelling out in pain.
Like a non-contact.
Yeah, like, but then you do the other view and it looked like he got hit with a pretty nice uppercut. But there's still a delayed reaction on the screen.
Yeah, I think he was trying to dodge and go in to take it to the ground, because the guy that won, Francis Ngannou, famously terrible at anything but striking. So if you can wrestle him at all, you usually win. And Cain Velasquez's knee just gave out on him, and then he did get clipped pretty good there once or twice as his knee was no longer functioning.
Honestly, if I fought MMA, I'd probably be terrible at anything except striking too. I don't really want to wrestle anybody on the ground.
Yeah, I wouldn't want. We should do Devin's jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, he just like got an LLC, right? A guy we went to high school with started a
Jiu-jitsu
company. I always want to do
there
kickboxing for exercise. Like I said, I don't really want to tangle with guys on the ground.
You don't want to grapple and roll around on a sweaty mat with other dudes wearing only spandex shorts?
Not even with other girls, because then if they kick my ass, then it's embarrassing.
There's some tough women out there, man. It's liable to happen.
It was definitely tough women.
Get some Chris Cyborg action going for you. All like 180 pounds of pure muscle, and she'll just maul you.
Did you watch her last fight? I saw that one.
Where she got the crap kicked out of her by Amanda Nunes?
And still lasted twice as long as anybody else would have.
she just like,
Yeah.
She never.
The ref was kind to her on that one. The ref was kind. She took a beating there.
Yeah,
like,
it should have been stopped earlier. She was not trying to defend herself, but I respect it because she was still swinging. She wasn't like out. It wasn't. She looked like she couldn't see. Like she was staring off into space, and she was swinging. She could have potentially connected and changed that fight, but she got her ass kicked.
Yeah, she went out on her feet though, so you got to give her respect for that, definitely.
Like I said,
that's the heart of a champion kind of thing.
Yeah, the fact that she lasted like 50-something seconds, I couldn't believe it because she took so many big hits right away.
Let's see.
The other girl, what was her name? I remember beforehand, I didn't realize she had gone up a weight class. And I was like, man, she doesn't look as cut, like as in shape as normal. And then someone was like, well, she went up a weight class. Like, oh, so it's an extra 10, 15 pounds of just weight she put on.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes deliberately.
She obviously could handle it.
Yeah, she posted afterwards, actually. She tried to put on her normal jeans like 2 days after the fight, and she'd put on so much weight she didn't fit in her jeans anymore.
I've seen other people who've gone up a weight class like that, and you can tell they're not in good enough shape to handle the extra weight, and she obviously was.
Well, it's a different thing, too, because a lot of people will just, depending on how much weight they cut to make their normal weight, they'll just not cut as much weight, and they'll add a little bit of muscle. She felt the need to actually put on some mass to go with Cyborg, because Cyborg is large. Cyborg fights at 145. She walks around probably at 175. So Nunes felt the need to put on some mass, and obviously she did the right thing because she looked fantastic and won.
Let's see. Kron Gracie looked pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That submission that he got was, I think I had no chance.
Lived up to the hype a little bit, which is good to see.
Those submissions are really impressive, especially when someone kind of pulls it out of nowhere. And all of a sudden you realize they have it locked. And you're like, oh, shit. And then it looks like someone's arm is about to break in half or something. It creeps me out. Those creep me out more than the knockout punches. Seeing like a joint that looks like it might just snap if someone doesn't tap.
Ugh.
But so this was ESPN's second thing. They had their ESPN Plus. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So UFC has this big deal with ESPN. So they're going to have... Basically, they're going to triple the number of UFC fight nights because now they're still going to have the pay-per-views. They're going to have them on ESPN Plus and on ESPN.
I don't know if tripling I don't know the statistics, so maybe that's it. But they had quite a lot of fight nights. I'd find it hard to believe they could triple the number of fight nights based on what they'd been doing. But I know they're definitely adding events for ESPN and looking to expand. That's why there's also rumors that if they get rid of the 125 division, they might finally open up a 165 division because there needs to be a gap between the 155 and the 170s and kind of reshuffle some of the bigger guys around to add another weight class at some of the more exciting weights and skill levels.
125 is small for guys.
Well, there's really only like 3 world-class 125 fighters, 3 or 4.
I mean, the small guys are fun to watch because they're faster and they usually last longer. They can go 3, 4, 5 rounds without looking like they're going to collapse. But
that also makes it boring because you rarely get finishes.
Yeah,
so
125 is real. Like, I want someone at least has enough weight on them to knock somebody out potentially.
Yeah.
that's the problem with the women's 115 or 125 is they're just all points fights. You rarely ever get a finish, and you know that going into it that it's going to be a points fight. So you lose some of the excitement value of, are they going to get knocked out? Well, no, because they're throwing, as my friend Ben would like to say, they're throwing toothpicks at each other. Like, you're not going to KO someone with a toothpick.
Do you still bet with those guys? You guys try to bet or at least predict the winners and how they win, what round, all that stuff?
Yeah, at least on the pay-per-view cards and the championship fights. If we have the main event is something that we all are interested in or watching, we'll definitely we don't bet for money or anything. We just pick the round and the method with which someone will get a victory and kind of tally up the points at the end of the night. Keeps it interesting.
So I just realized something. So the reason I knew that he did that was because we were roommates and we totally skipped over the part where we tell how we know someone the first time they came on. So backtracking here real fast, Ryan, so we met in Pullman when I went to Wazoo, got a job at Domino's since I had already managed Cedar Woolley. Seemed like an easy part-time job. Definitely was. When I first started there, you were at the Moscow store.
Yeah.
Filling in as manager, but then you came back to the Pullman store. So me and Ryan would be there Friday. I was on the work Friday, Saturday nights. So on Friday, Saturday nights, me and Ryan would be there. The manager, who's actually only the second worst manager I worked for at Domino's.
Nice.
Gosh.
He would leave by 5 or 6 o'clock, Justin?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah,
5
on Fridays,
usually.
on the two
If you and I were
business
both there, he would. I mean, if it was really busy, he would stay later. But if you and I were both there, you could throw dough so fast, and I was on ovens, we didn't really need him in the store.
It's nice whenever you have that level of comfort, but
Yeah, well, I loved it because it was the least amount of responsibility I had at a Domino's ever. All I did was make food.
All you did is stretch dough for 12 hours in a row.
Well, when it was really busy,
Yeah.
especially at the end of the night when we had people coming in, I was making everything start to finish because we only had one CSR. It was usually Michelle, and then Christine would sometimes stay inside and help inside.
Claudio or Thomas or.
But they would be taking orders and helping carry out, and I'd end up making food start to finish. So Justin, the manager, he was he just wanted to delegate. He wanted to spend his time on Excel, redoing the schedule a million different ways and learning how to play with Excel.
smart manager.
And delegate.
He was good at that Excel stuff, to his credit. He came up with some good
He learned.
programs
Yeah, he
and
would
some
just
other
spend
things.
time online learning stuff.
Yeah, he was good at that stuff. I got to give him that credit.
But so when I first walked in and said I wanted to apply, he's like, "Oh, we're not hiring." I was like, "Oh, I just used to be a GM, so I thought it'd be a good part-time job." And he's like, "Oh, you're hired." And then my first day was there was some big timed order or something, and he's just like, "Yeah, all right, go slap." I was like, I could have been lying. Who knows? No, he's like, "Go slap." So he got
There you
lucky.
go. Yeah.
But yeah, we would do Friday, Saturday nights. Ryan would be on ovens. He'd be the one who actually have to pay attention to
Deliveries and stuff.
sending people home, routing. I would just make food.
That was me. That was my role. Yeah.
So I loved it. It was 2 long days in a row. We'd get off because that store didn't close till 3 a.m.
Damn.
There's some good shenanigans that would happen. What was her name that would come in and always scream at us because she wanted her cheese pizza and that she loved us? Because we would make her that sorority girl.
Was it? Are you talking about the girl who was in love with you that said you had to make her pizza? You made the best pizza in the world. And every time you would tell her that I made her pizza, and she would just ignore that and not even look over.
Yeah, she's turns out she's gay, by the way. I found that out
She
on
just seemed
social
like she
media
was
like a year
obsessed
ago.
with you.
Yeah, she's like married now to a woman. Like, good for her, she's happy. But I was like, that's kind
You
of
became friends with her?
no, I think because I'm friends with someone who was in that sorority with her, so I kind of just saw like the wedding thing. I was like, huh, that's interesting.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same person, because it was the girl that would come in.
Oh no, we're thinking of the same person.
Okay, yeah.
I can picture her face, the brunette with
Yeah, and she'd come in, she'd be like, she was always drunk. Yeah, she'd be like, you make
Yeah.
the best pizza. She'd be staring at him across at the oven, which is straight back from the counter. And then you'd always be like, hey, he actually made your pizza, Matt over there. And I'd be sitting at the slap table just watching this conversation. She wouldn't even turn her head.
no,
I would just
She
be cracking
didn't
up the
care.
whole time.
she couldn't care less.
But yeah, it was such a great crew because there was so much joking and shenanigans, and yet we still ran such good numbers and such good service. And almost everybody carried their weight when it came to like cleaning at the end of the night and stuff like that, other than a couple people. Who cares? But so then the end of my tenure at Wazoo, like 3 months before I'm moving, and then like a month later I'll be finishing my last online class, get dumped. So then moving back to my mom's became unnecessary, because we were going to move there until we could both find jobs, get her a car, whatever. But so then Ryan was like, fuck it. You were about to move to Seattle to manage a Domino's in Seattle and open a new store
Mhm.
for a much bigger franchise. So you were like, fuck it. Move to Seattle, be my assistant manager. And I'm like, well, I'm about to finish school. What better place to look for a work? And at the time, I was wanting to do business, finance, something like that. It's like Seattle, way better than Cedro Woolley.
Yeah.
So we moved to Seattle. That was summer 2013.
God, has it been that long?
Yeah, I was there for like 3.5 years.
Yeah, I think that's so.
Now then it's been about 2.5 years since I moved away, and you're still in the same apartment, right?
Yeah, the lease is up end of April, so I'll see where I am after that.
Do you have that same girl roommate whose boyfriend at the time was like, you can't live with a guy, and then she did anyway?
Yeah, and they're still together.
Nice.
It's great. It worked out fine.
Is she like ever there?
Yeah, like half the time.
Oh, okay.
She's here right now, so I don't want to like talk too loud and like have her hear that I'm talking.
But yeah, so that's how I met Ryan, and we worked at Capital One in Seattle for a while before they moved to Texas.
Which is then, yeah, the kind of the irony in that is then you came to Seattle to do Domino's with me. We both got fed up with it, and we both kind of got stuck in the Domino's rut. And then
Been there.
you went to Capital One, got me a job there, and then I'm still in finance in Seattle, and you've left. I actually have a much, much better job now working in for mutual fund operations in Seattle. So,
Nice.
and I probably will be not stuck. I like this job and I like this company, so I'll probably be here for quite a long time. And so that it's kind of funny that we came to Seattle for Domino's, and now for finance, which is what you got me into post Domino's. I'm still in it.
Yeah, well, sitting at a desk was always something you were more comfortable with than I was.
It's a rugged
You do that in
outdoorsman
your free time too, with video
Yeah.
computer games and shit. And I learned that I liked Domino's because I got to walk around and move around and do shit.
Yeah, that's you better when you're moving. That's very true. And interacting with people.
Which in my new job, you have earplugs in, so you can't even really talk to people.
But you're moving at least, and
It's good. It's good though.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'd annoy everybody.
anyways,
Yeah, where life takes us. Shit.
yeah,
Crazy.
it's crazy. It's been what 7 years now since we first met. Probably
Longer than that.
8 years. 8 years. Maybe?
2013 was when we moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
3 years before that.
Can't believe it never came down to visit you.
No one did. My dad's the only one who came to visit me in Pullman.
We
Not
used to
that it was
watch
Not exciting.
Seahawks games at your apartment every Sunday when we were working at Domino's in Pullman, and just that was fun times too. People would always come over and watch the game, and
Yeah, with SetX, different person each time would bring some food.
Yeah,
We
that
we
was
saw
fun.
the Fail Mary was in that apartment,
Yeah,
and we were all jumping up and down, freaking out.
yeah, that was fun.
Football Sunday is good tradition.
That was good.
Yeah.
Like people that didn't even like football would come and just like take part and have fun with it, and it was a good time.
We did the Monday night, yeah, 'cause we'd play games and stuff too.
Yeah,
At one point, people were coming over to watch Bones,
Bones.
which is kind of funny because I didn't hang out at first. People in Domino started doing board game night.
it was Christine.
Game
Because Christine came a
yeah.
year after you did, and she kind of just decided everybody needed to be social, and then made it happen.
Because that's how she is. Yeah, she
Yeah.
always wants to have people over. And then I didn't do it at first because of that girlfriend who, anytime she heard Christine or Michelle or Ashley's name in a Domino story, she was like, "Why do you talk about her?" Which I don't mean to be mean. She's got reasons for having jealousy issues due to her dad. We won't go into that. But so I stayed away. I stayed away for a while before and partly out of laziness, before I finally started to hang out. And then that's the nice thing about Pullman is it's more my speed. It was house parties or a bar called The Office.
Oh,
Which-
that's such a great bar.
Yeah, it's not super loud. We go to Valhalla sometimes too.
Yeah.
The upstairs was like a sports bar. The downstairs like a club.
Never
My
been to
office is probably my favorite all-time bar, though. That bar was pretty fantastic.
Well, it was a more adult crowd. It wasn't the
Yeah.
just turned 21-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you never went to Pullman, but how many of our friends from high school got like either banned from Pullman or got DUI or MIPs?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Our friend Kyle Hooker, who I'm hoping to get you and him on a Game of Thrones show podcast for this season, he went into a frat party barking as a husky. Our friends who he was visiting there banned him from coming back. He was drunk and barking. He also got an MIP. I don't know if that was the same trip. Him and our other friend Tony. MIPs because they're hanging out on the front porch when the cops came up. Western was way better for that. That's where I went, while I was a minor to college. Cops come up to a party with flashlights saying, "Pour it out, walk away."
Dang.
I had a cop though that definitely knew I was drunk when I was underage, and it was when I lived in Churchill Downs, and he was just like, "You live near here? Yeah, go home." Okay, that happened like twice where we got caught out, and he was just like, "Go home." I really think it matters if they were called to you or if they were just patrolling, and then whether or not you were being stupid or just hanging out.
Well, I will say too, at Western they had a party bus. The cops had, which I did see one time. It came and blocked the driveway to a house party I was at. And it's literally a cop car and then a bus with like 6 cops standing up in it, and the lights are on.
Dang.
So you see it pull up, and they literally arrest people. So we were luckily outside when it pulled up, and we went through the woods and got picked up on another street
Nice.
and got out of there. But every other time the cops came, they just said, "Pour it out, walk away."
Funny you mentioned that. That story sounds just like Superbad, and I just put the Superbad shirt on.
Super bad. Yeah, we're trying to get more decorations for our studio, and actually, we're trying to think of a.
Oh, I just realized that's a It's Always Sunny poster for the Nightman cometh behind you. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That was a new addition from our friend Corey, who's in Afghanistan right now.
Mhm.
Ricky did some house sitting for him. In fact, we recorded one of our podcasts at that house while he was house sitting.
That's
and
a
he
good
got
poster.
that as a thank you. And then there's
Shout out to Corey.
yeah, Superbad, American flag, Sonics and Mariners corner, the newspapers.
And the Reyes Bros t-shirt, Tyson got that for me.
Oh yeah, Reyes Bros, Ricky and his brother. All right.
We got to come up with a name, though.
Yeah, if you think of any names for the studio, let us know.
And if anybody wants to come over and play poker, we got a pretty nice table for it.
Oh yeah, this would be a good poker table.
Yeah.
Just clean up the podcast stuff. Well, this seems like as good a time as any for our reoccurring segment, We Blown Up. This is where we practice going to a sponsor break for when we're getting our doors beat down by advertisers who want to be on our show.
We're going to be incredibly popular, I can tell.
Yeah. Don't look at the download numbers. For some reason, we have one show that has like way more downloads than other ones.
Kyle Hooker is a commanding presence.
But his show was when I was on Instagram, I follow a bunch of different podcast accounts, and I put out there about like supporting each other. I was like, hey, podcast community should support each other. So I told people if they comment on the post, I'll subscribe to their podcast. And so a bunch did that, and I subscribed, and a bunch of people said they subscribed too. And that episode got a bunch of downloads, but then our last two didn't. So either they only really downloaded the last episode or they unsubscribed because the new episodes did not get downloads automatically like you would from a subscription.
Are you sure it has nothing to do with the fact that you introduced Kyle and his wife as the hookers? That's kind of a catchy introduction.
Although Liz has not actually changed her name, we found out.
Yeah, but you can still refer to them as the hookers, though.
I did, and in the description it says Kyle and Liz hooker, and then I put in parentheses Coit.
I seen that. That's nice.
It was a point of contention. He wasn't happy about it. She was very vocal about the fact that she was not excited to have that as her last name.
I don't know why. It's perfect.
Liz.
Yeah.
She originally was in my phone as Dat Ho too, and then she became Liz Ho, and so then I only had to change it to Liz Hooker.
Because everybody knows who Hook is.
A classy progression right there.
I may have been drunk when she got put in my phone. We tried to trick her into thinking I was a guy who she had given her number to, me and Kyle, while we were out doing an IPA tour with some friends.
Nice.
But we're about to go to a sponsorship break, and then we'll be right back and play some Fan or Phony right after this. Hey, Ricky. So, been a little bit of a rut lately. Been a while since I've been laid.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Feel for you, buddy.
I'm having trouble just getting in there and talking to these random girls. You know, starting the conversation, starting the flirting. I just can't quite get up the nerve to frickin'.
Need a little liquid courage.
What do you mean liquid courage? What do I need, Ricky?
You might need a tall. How would you describe it? Frosty? Tall, frosty glass of delicious beer.
Beer?
Beer.
Beer is going to help me talk to girls and get laid.
Definitely. And once you pick yourself up, you go talk to some nice looking ladies. They shoot you down. No big deal. Drink a couple beers. The ugly ones start to look better.
Oh, okay. So if the beer doesn't help me get courage to hit on hot chicks, it will make the ugly chicks seem hotter.
It will give you the courage to hit on hot chicks.
As I once heard my stepdad say, a famous line from my stepdad, a 2 at 10 is a 10 at 2. Seriously, heard that from my stepdad. No, but for real, guys, this episode is sponsored by beer. Clearly, I have no problem getting laid. Just disregard that first part.
Of course not.
But there's so many great times to have a beer. My favorite time? With hot wings.
Ooh, beer and hot wings. Delicious combination.
Beer and football.
Beer and football, definitely.
Don't ever, if you want to listen to NFL, don't partake in marijuana. They're against marijuana. No ads for that during the Super Bowl. But if you want to drink as much beer as you want,
you go right ahead. This is America.
Go down to the stadium, have about 8 beers by the time they cut you off midway through the fourth quarter.
Spend about $200.
Get in a fight. No, but really, be responsible. Drink a beer. Hit on someone at a bar.
Make a chelada. Delicious.
Oh yeah, Hooper's got you obsessed with those cheladas. And then, I don't know, just have a good time. Live life. And be safe.
Always.
So again,
drive drunk.
So this episode today was brought to you by beer. And back to the show. And we're back, because that was silent long enough for us to edit in a sponsor.
It was a good sponsor this week, too.
It was a great sponsor. Is actually going to be beer.
Ooh.
Hooray, beer.
That is why. We usually do the sponsor based on the guest, and I figured that was a good one.
Go Cougs. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was trying to look up stuff for Fan or Phony, which we still need to record a cool music.
Yeah, we gotta make an intro.
A thing to play over when we're going in for Fan or Phony.
Hey, everybody.
So yours is actually, it's only 10 trivia questions. It's a combination of Seahawks, Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mostly because I couldn't find enough questions that I liked on any one of those categories.
I feel like I'm gonna go 0 for 10.
Nah. So I didn't. So it's fan or phone. It's not like super fan. I don't want to have any questions where someone has to be like a legit historian. Like I don't want you to have to remember like obscure city names and shit like that.
Plus, that's not really entertaining.
So I think these might actually be pretty easy. But I think there's a couple in here that could stump you.
All right.
Well, let's go. We'll see how you do. Ricky, did you want to cue up your the sound effects? Brad, our last guest, really liked the sound effects. He actually made us stop when he got one right and he didn't hear the horn on getting it right. He's like, "Hey, where's the horn?"
Speaking of remembering, did you write down the time that you did the promo?
No. Oh yeah. It was about 32 minutes in. It's always easier to go back and edit when I know when to look. All right. Can you hear that?
I can.
All right. First question. What year did the Seahawks join the NFL?
76?
It was 76. I definitely would have got that wrong. There's no way I would have got that right.
Because it was pretty quick. It was like 79 that they made their first AFC championship game at the time, right? Because they were in the AFC originally and they only switched at like 2001 or whenever the Texans joined the NFL.
Well, and actually what I learned by doing this trivia, their first year, they were in the NFC West. It was their second year that they moved to the AFC West, and then they came back to the NFC West later.
Oh, I didn't even realize that they were... Okay.
Yeah, it was only for 1 year. So I thought that
Interesting.
was a little too obscure of a question.
I wouldn't have gotten that part, but...
Yeah, apparently the year they joined the NFL wasn't hard enough.
That's like a bar trivia level.
Yeah, so if you
One
get
notch
questions
above.
I asked wrong, we know you're a phony. That's I need to get the sound effect from the Family Guy episode
Yeah.
where the guy's just going phony because Peter is playing a piano at the store, but really it's just the piano playing itself, and Peter's pretending, and
the
then
guy
he
comes up and praises him.
yeah, the guy was so happy. And then he sees that it wasn't really him, and he's like, "You phony!" and the whole rest of the episode. But that's where that came from.
Spray paints it on his car.
He did. He yelled outside his house. Everything.
All right. So, question number 2: what noble house is Caitlin Stark from?
Catelyn Stark.
Caitlin Stark.
Really? Really?
See, that sounds like
She is the eldest daughter of House Tully of Riverrun, Lord Paramount of the Riverlands. Or Lords Paramount of the Riverlands.
well. And the problem when you look up Game of Thrones trivia now is it's all geared toward the show. So it's
Yeah.
hard to find good book trivia.
Plus, we just did Game of Thrones trivia on our last episode.
Yeah, and that was definitely it was specific to the show because we know he hadn't read the books. But that was probably that might be a harder question than any of the ones we asked Brad for Game of Thrones. It was more specific.
He's super nerd about that show.
Oh, I ended up with 2 Game of Thrones in a row. See, this is probably easy too. What do the Unsullied have to kill at the end of their training to prove they have no mercy?
Baby.
It is a baby. So in what was the Kingsman, the show where they make him think he has to kill a dog, right?
Yeah.
I thought
Oh.
maybe you would think it was a puppy, but it is a well.
No,
So
they have
the
to go.
new-
They have to go like kidnap a baby from like a slave mother and then kill it in front of her.
Yes.
Like they have to prove that they're like
Newborn
exceptionally
slave child.
ruthless.
And then who gets the gold coin?
The owner.
Yeah, the slave owner.
Yeah.
Not the parent of the slave child.
Damn.
The slave owner, because it's their property. I actually just saw that episode because that was in season 3 before Dany starts freeing slaves.
Before she becomes Misa.
Misa.
Jar Jar?
She's the mother of dragons, and she's the mother of slaves, apparently.
She speaks Jar Jar Binks.
Misa, Misa.
Oh God, Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, that's or Happy Gilmore. Misa, Misa, Misa. I think I just killed the Misa lady.
Misa don't want to go down there. Anyways,
All right. Who was the first Seahawk elected to the Pro Bowl?
to the Pro Bowl. Oh,
I forgot the questions already.
I want to. I mean, my gut says Largent, but I think that it's even before that. Largent joined the Seahawks in '79, so that means they played 3 seasons before he joined. I would have thought maybe like was it Rod Smith, the first running back, maybe? I'll have to go Largent though. I genuinely don't know if there's someone before him.
I heard Largent.
Yeah.
That's correct.
He switched back to Largent. Yeah, if it was too obscure a name, I probably wouldn't have gone with it.
Is it Rod Smith that was the first major running back for the Seahawks? He still coached them for a long time, even up until recently. I think he was the running backs coach.
I don't know. You're the one on trial here. I'm trying to keep talking while looking it up.
It's Rod Smith, running back. No, that's
I just read Rod Smith, the Broncos receiver.
Yeah,
Rod
no.
Smith, running back for.
Oh, well.
There's one currently for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's what I pulled up. Yeah.
Yeah, you got dual monitors. That's the way to go.
Yeah, I got Skype on one and I got internet on the other.
It was really nice. The two desktops I had having dual monitors, though, man. I don't think I could ever go back to having a single monitor if I had to sit at a desk for more than an hour.
Dual monitors reminds me of Curtis Baker.
So I tried to write these questions like alternating and shit, but I accidentally, by the fact that so on each of our lists, there's no questions back to back that are the same category. But because we're alternating, fucked it up. I should have just made them. But so we got another Seahawks one here. First, well, this one's probably easy too. First Seahawks to win the MVP award.
I mean, Sean Alexander's the only one to have won league MVP, right?
It makes it easy, right?
Then he was on the cover of Madden and never the same.
Him, Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden.
Oh, wow.
That was the vote year, too. That's so...
Brady was on it last year and they lost. This year he's not on it and they win.
Yeah, but he just lost the Super Bowl. For anybody else, that's an uber successful year.
Yeah, but it's Brady, so it's a different standard.
He's what, 6-3 in Super Bowls, though? 6-3? Yeah.
Okay, you're back. Yeah, we couldn't hear you there for a solid almost minute.
I came back and all of a sudden you were talking about LeBron being terrible in the finals, and that's something I approve of. We should shame LeBron more.
Go Lakers.
All right, Ricky, you got one more question, right? You haven't got any wrong. Shit, I didn't do good on this.
I got 3 more.
You got 3 more?
Yeah.
You guys cut out again.
You're gone again. What name do the elves call Gandalf? This is the first Lord of the Rings question.
Mithrandir?
Yes.
Damn.
Did we skip you a question, Ricky? I must have skipped you. All right, go again. Because I've asked.
I thought we were on pace.
I had asked 4 of my 5 already, and you'd
Felt
only
like it was
asked.
going smooth.
I just skipped you one.
All right.
Yeah, that's Mithrandir. I knew that would be easy too.
Who was the biggest bust in Seahawks history?
This one's part opinion.
Pretty much consensus.
I felt like it was consensus.
You guys are probably thinking of what's his name, the Boz or whatever, but I'm thinking of Malik McDowell after the shenanigans he pulled getting in an ATV accident
With the 4-wheeler.
Yeah, that's recent though. I'm still bitter about that, I guess, because
he didn't even play at all.
Yeah, he broke his contract and got so injured that he couldn't even play. That was our first pick, 2 years ago?
Sucked.
Yeah, but even after he came back, he wasn't like not showing up for stuff even after he got healthy?
Oh, he's not healthy. He has permanent brain damage. He can't compete.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing a helmet when he crashed an ATV he wasn't supposed to be riding.
Stay away from ATVs.
So far, I pretty much have, not really by choice. But yeah, we were thinking the boss, or I was.
Yeah.
I was also, for a bonus, I was dressed as him for my first ever Halloween.
He's,
I can see that. I
You
can
wonder
see
why
that.
I became a football fan.
idol of one of the great TV characters, Thad Castle.
Oh, Blue Mountain State. Blue Mountain State is such a funny show.
I didn't recognize the name, but I did watch that.
I just saw a clip YouTube recommended to me when they do the race with the Oreos between their butt cheeks across the field, and Thad competes just for the hell of it because he wouldn't miss it.
Oh yeah, he wasn't even because it was only the rookies or freshmen.
Yeah. That's good
He
stuff.
won, right?
I'm sure he did. I don't even remember. I just know that the funny part was that he wanted to compete because he wouldn't miss it, so he ran out there in a jockstrap and willingly shoved an Oreo up his butt.
He zooms out to the coaches and they're like, "Why is that out there?"
Yeah. That's a great show.
All right, so you got that one right.
All right. This one, Brad had trouble with. It wasn't the exact same question, but how many of the direwolves can you name?
Oh, that's easy. I can tell you all 6 direwolves and who they're partnered with.
Well, if
So-
you can give me the name, I assume you can say who they're partnered with. That's the easy part.
So, descending by age, we'll start with Jon Snow and Ghost. Robb Stark had Grey Wind. Sansa had Lady. Arya had Nymeria. Bran had Summer. And Rickon had Shaggy Dog.
For some reason, it didn't dawn on me how weird it is that Bran's is Summer. He lives in Winterfell.
But he was born during the long summer, and that's what tied into it. Also, because Summer had like shades of light brown in its fur, so it was
Yeah.
more of a less severe direwolf coloring, as I recall.
Yeah, we were having trouble remembering the names. For some reason, Greywind and Lady were the two that I couldn't remember.
Well, they were the first to die, to be fair. So
Lady dies in like episode 3. Or was that
I
episode
think it was episode 2. It was way
as soon as they
quick.
left Winterfell, it's like,
The lady never even made it to King's Landing.
oh yeah, it's one of the few references. Ricky, how far have you made it into the show, Ricky?
Episode 3.
Okay, yeah. So I wonder if you kept going.
Episode 3 was much more interesting than the first two, though.
Oh god, this other one Ricky has is easy too. I did this way too easy.
Was it going
Did
to
it
name
last
the
night
3 dragons or something like that?
No, I have that as a bonus.
Oh.
His is a Lord of the Rings question. I don't even know if he'll know all these words.
I don't. You know the question. What is as hard as dragon scale and as light as a feather?
Mithril.
Yep. But yeah, as a bonus, you know the names of all 3 dragons?
Yeah. There's Drogon, Viserion, and Rhaegal.
Yeah, he was a history major. He's got a better memory for names than I do.
I can tell you their colors.
What is the name? Bonus question. The name of the episode that the Game of Thrones writers did for Sunny.
Oh yeah, I forgot. DV.
Oh.
I don't even know which one they did name wise. Did they do the? Oh, it must have been the Game of Games.
Nope.
They didn't do the Games.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you. I'd have to Google it. I know that they did it, but I couldn't tell you which episode it was.
Do you have it, Ricky?
It's Flowers for Charlie.
They did Flowers for Charlie. Oh, which
He
had
also
a
appeared in the water slide episode.
they appeared in the water slide episode.
The guy that sent him down the slide.
Oh,
And then
seriously?
one of the lifeguards.
I did not know they were the lifeguards in that. In Flowers for Charlie, it had the guy. It has a character from Game of Thrones, a guy who played a character in Game of Thrones, only for like 2 episodes, and he also was in Pacific Rim with Charlie.
And there's Jin Yang from Silicon Valley. He's in that episode too.
That's true.
And now those guys, HBO had picked up that show called Confederates, like an alternate history of what would happen if the Confederacy had won the war. But then now it's delayed because Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi was so poorly received that his trilogy got canceled, and the writers for Game of Thrones have a Star Wars trilogy that they get to write and produce that is not part of the Skywalker saga. Excuse me. Kinda,
Really?
So it was announced a while ago that they were picked up for Star Wars, but it's only kind of recently come out that as Rian Johnson was quietly pushed to the side after the negative feedback for The Last Jedi, that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, something, whatever, the creators for Thrones, they have a trilogy of their own now that's going to take place outside the Skywalker saga for Star Wars. So they're writing that right now.
They're
You
about
guys
as
like Last
busy as
Jedi?
George R. R. Martin. The Last Jedi was all right.
The Last Jedi was very exciting, but it was an exercise in horrible continuity with the rest of your series. Like when you're the episode 8, but really the 9th film, because Rogue One had already come out at that point, it was just an exercise in bad continuity and bad storytelling, in my opinion. It was exciting. It was visually stunning, but
At the end, it was like, really, the whole movie takes place over like a day.
mhm.
Nothing really happens except rebels getting killed.
Yep.
What's his face? The former stormtrooper. I'm blanking on his name.
Finn.
Finn. His entire storyline of the episode turned out to be pointless.
It was
Didn't
basically the same. He went through the same character development all over again that he went through in 7, just with a different girl.
Exactly, and nothing he did contributed to the movie or anything that happened in the movie. Like, he just ended up back with them after risking his life for no reason and then risking it again. When Luke showed up at the end, literally in the movie theater, I was so pissed off at first because I was like, did he stop for a fucking haircut? I was like, what is happening? Why does he look different?
You gotta
And then
dress for battle.
and then the twist actually made it great when it was just a hologram
Yeah.
and he was just sitting on that rock. Spoilers if you haven't watched it. So that was actually great. And then, yeah, all the stuff. I mean, Snoke getting killed was cool, but everything else happening in that was kind of just
Yeah.
cool fight scenes.
The only cool thing with that planet that Finn and Rose went to was that very final little bit where the kid uses the Force to summon the broom to himself after they were telling the story of how Luke Skywalker single-handedly stood up to the First Order.
I
Like
forgot
that,
about that.
that was like the final scene of the movie, and that was like the best part of the movie was that little kid that Finn and Rose met on the planet, and with like 3 other little slave kids being all excited about Luke Skywalker, and then demonstrating that they can use the Force.
That was the purpose of not giving Rey specific parents, right? So that it could show that anybody was possible to get the Force or something.
Didn't we already know that with Anakin?
Well, Anakin has his backstory has been retconned in official canon via Marvel Comics, which is of course owned by Disney. So he is technically not biologically, but he was Force manipulated in the womb by Palpatine.
Oh, Palpatine. I think you just cut out. Palpatine Force manipulated him in the womb.
Yeah,
Boss move.
It's one of
Soon
the
to be
creepiest things I've ever heard.
it is creepy, but that's like Marvel Comics, which is now canon since they're both Disney entities.
So then why did Palpatine let him slave away as a slave on some distant planet for so long?
I haven't actually read the comics. I've seen this bit because it was a big deal about a month and a half ago when it came out.
This would be the problem with me reading comics is they do this all the time where they change storylines or add, and I would nitpick and be like, well, wait a minute, that makes this other thing make no sense.
It has something to do with Tatooine not being a Republic planet, so Jedi should have never ended up there. So Qui-Gon meeting him on that planet shouldn't have actually happened because a Jedi should have never been there. So there's the opportunity for this kid to grow up until he's angry and pissed at the world because he was a slave, and then he could become a Sith.
Ah, okay. So he was letting him grow up as a slave to build that anger. That makes
Right, yeah,
sense. One thing that I think is funny is in the prequel trilogy. So Qui-Gon finds Anakin, and he's like, I think he'll be the one that brings balance to the Force. Weren't the Jedi way in charge, like way more powerful at the time? So shouldn't bringing balance have been like, wait a minute, we don't want balance. We're like winning.
Well, that's the kind of the one good thing that The Last Jedi did was they talked about the fact that being purely good isn't necessarily balanced. Like, not to say that you need evil as well, but like there's a difference between being like this super righteous, celibate, no love of any kind, no compassion, purity, and actual goodness and balanced life. And I think that's kind of what they came to. And then also with Anakin being that's another thing that Disney has moderately retconned is whether or not he actually was the chosen one. Because they have Obi-Wan state in Star Wars Rebels, which is a fantastic show if you haven't watched it. He actually tells Darth Maul that Luke is the chosen one. And this is before the events of Episode 4. Now, obviously, Anakin still ended up killing Palpatine, but then what did Luke do? And is Rey Luke's daughter? Because there's still... J.J. Abrams is still like, no, this is the Skywalker trilogy. I had different plans for Rey's parentage originally. Rian Johnson messed it all up, because the storyboarding had been done for all 3 episodes in the prequel or the sequel trilogy by J.J. Abrams, and Rian Johnson just said, no, I'm doing something different, basically. And he deviated a lot, and I think it shows in how the story goes.
Yeah, no one seemed very happy about that. And then because of that, no one even wanted to go watch Solo, which really isn't that bad.
It's just unnecessary. You're never going to get anyone to be Han Solo as good as Harrison Ford.
No. I mean, there's so many times where you're watching it, though, and you're like, that is definitely not Han Solo. But then there's a few times where you're like, okay, whatever. And if you don't worry too much about that, it's a pretty good movie. And Huh?
Donald Glover.
Yeah, Donald Glover's great in it, and then what's his face? Woody Harrelson's great in it.
I haven't seen it.
Speaking of Woody Harrelson, they're making a
Oh.
Zombieland sequel.
Are they really?
Yeah, it's going to come out later this year.
Bill
They did
Murray
the-
better show up as a zombie this time.
They did the
That'd be
10 year-
awesome.
10 years later, and it's a cast photo, and it was the release of the poster.
Did they?
Yeah.
I missed
Yeah.
that.
Uh,
Also in Solo, I didn't even think about it. Emilia Clarke, Daenerys,
Yeah.
also in it. And actually, what I liked about best of the movie, all the most badass characters in that movie were chicks.
nice.
That's one thing Disney's been getting right more and more is that they genuinely have diversity in their genders. It's not just the atypical bulky male that's the hero anymore.
Well, and Emilia
I mean-
Clarke's character turns out to not be the hero. She's a douche.
Yeah, but she's still compelling.
But she was a badass, and then you find out she's a bitch. And you're like, oh, well, that sucks. Oh well.
Same thing with when they
I
get
don't
Captain
think I have
Marvel
strong
coming out.
feelings about it.
So more female badasses with Captain
Yeah,
Marvel
so
coming out
I-
next month.
I brought this up. Yeah, I keep
Oh.
hearing that she's overpowered, but I brought this up with Brad. I'm curious your opinion on it. To me, the whole Captain Marvel and you finding out that Fury has known about her and didn't call her on the first one, it feels weird.
I think that was necessary for the Avengers to become the team that they
But even when they were losing and it looked like the planet might get destroyed,
looked like.
a nuke
Planet
got shot at New York. I think we lost Ryan again.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So that's another one of those weird things that bothers me now. Like, oh, it turns out there was this superhero that could have saved the day by herself, and Fury either decided to risk the planet, or he really didn't know about her, and we're making this up as we go.
Or he flipped the pager and they just didn't show it, and she didn't come. Or for some reason.
That would be hilarious,
there
actually,
you go.
if they show an end credit scene where he called her and she was like, "Sorry, dog,
Didn't even think that she needed to come down or something.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
You guys got this.
Weird
I
that
think
Call me when Thanos shows up."
the whole girl boom started with DC, and that's like the one thing they've done right. With Harley Quinn first, and then Wonder Woman, obviously.
Yeah, and Harley Quinn's getting her own movie, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be Birds of Prey, her, Poison Ivy, I think. Somebody else.
I'm down for that. I liked Wonder Woman.
we could always use more Margot Robbie in our lives.
Yeah.
I
Did
won't
you
complain
watch
about that.
I, Tonya,
I did not, actually.
the Tonya Harding movie?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's pretty hilarious. It's pretty funny. And then I watched the other day Alita: Battle Angel.
Was that good?
Really good movie. I didn't love the ending. They did, without spoiling, they did one of those "we're gonna have a sequel" endings where
Nah.
you see some famous actor right at the end who you're like, clearly he's gonna be a big character in the next one.
Like at the end of Venom.
More like at the end of
Fantastic Beasts?
Fantastic Beasts, when all of a sudden, damn, I'm blanking on names now.
Oh, Johnny Depp's here.
Johnny Depp right at the end.
Wait, yeah, but the end of Venom is Woody Harrelson, and he gets introduced as Carnage.
I completely forgot that.
That's a pretty big one.
I didn't see Venom.
I need to watch it again. We saw that one in theaters. That was a mandate. Was that no? That wasn't what we watched on Christmas, was it? What did we
Might
go
have
to
been.
on Christmas? That must have been, because we
Yeah.
haven't gone to any other movies. We went and saw that on Christmas night, which a lot of people did.
I just don't see the point of Venom. Like, why are they making a Venom movie when it's not part of the MCU? Like, Venom is Spider-Man's enemy, and he's never going to fight Spider-Man, so why should I care about Venom?
Did you see how much money it made?
I've always been a Venom fan, so.
Well, yeah, Tom Hardy, like, I'm sure it's going to be entertaining, but but he's never going to fight Spider-Man, so what's the point?
Because any superhero movie is going to make over $100 million. And they didn't spend a lot of money on it, it didn't look like.
Plus,
Yeah.
Sony has to make a Spider-Man related title every couple of years to keep the rights or something.
Yeah, they have to keep the rights to the few characters they still have primary rights to.
Yeah, that was why they made the whole, what's his name, the last Spider-Man one, the Amazing Spider-Man, those two
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, well, they weren't bad.
Yeah, but the only
Andrew
reason they
Garfield's
made them was to keep the rights.
Still,
Yeah.
you're not going to complain about quality entertainment.
No, yeah, they were right.
Better than Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. That was
The
Oh,
emo hair flip.
oh so
Spider-Man,
bad.
Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 2 has an epic soundtrack, though.
That Spider-Man 2 was really good. For a while there was talk that Spider-Man 2 was probably the best superhero movie of all time, but then the Dark Knight trilogy happened, and then the MCU happened.
Any predictions for the Avengers Endgame? Other than,
other
Captain
than
Marvel
death?
saving the day.
I don't think is Captain Marvel going to save the day, or is Ant-Man going to save the day?
Or is Deadpool?
I wish Deadpool would show up. I mean, it's going to be a combination.
Yeah.
Brad was predicting quite a few of the old guard still ending up dying.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, so Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, he's dead or left back in
And
time.
he said he's done.
Well, and
after
the interesting thing about that is Sebastian Stan. So in the comics, right, Winter Soldier becomes Captain America. Sebastian Stan is signed to a 9-movie deal, and not every movie he's been in even counts towards that. So he has like 5 movies left on his MCU deal.
Oh yeah, I just saw Brie Larson's deal is for 7 movies.
Yeah. So Sebastian Stan still has like 5 movies on his deal.
Isn't Winter Soldier going to be a show?
Loki is Winter Soldier too.
Loki is, and then it's Vision and the Scarlet Witch is going to be.
That's what it was.
Vision and Scarlet Witch together.
Yeah.
Falcon Winter Soldier limited series in the works?
Yeah, maybe. That would be cool.
That's true. They were in Civil War. They kind of buddied up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, they had the bickering. They were
Hawkeye
both
fan,
getting
so-
beat up by Spider-Man in Civil War, and then finally Falcon had his little what did he call that? Red Hawk or something like that? His little drone that flies around.
Oh, something like that, yeah.
Came and saved him,
Give
and
it a
then
kiss.
Winter Soldier was Winter Soldier's like, you couldn't have done that earlier. That was their little one of their
I
moments.
still haven't seen Winter Soldier, and everybody says it's like the best one.
Yeah, other than like Avengers films, that's probably the best MCU movie.
Winter Soldier or Civil War?
I consider Civil War an Avengers one. I know it's got a Captain America title, but that to me is an Avengers film. Like, you're missing Thor and the Hulk. That's it. Other than that, it's an Avengers film.
No, yeah, it should have been. I guess Winter Soldier is really because you get Captain America and what's her face, pretty good combo.
Black Widow?
Black Widow.
Who's
And then,
getting her own rated R movie?
Oh, good. Hopefully she goes nude. We're all thinking it.
Not me.
She's hot. I think has she even shown in? She has to have, right? At this point.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was big. Not to promote hacking of celebrities or anything like that, but she was one of the big releases during the celebrity hack called The Fappening, where nudes for all these celebrities got hacked off their phones and posted online.
Damn,
So-
I missed that.
Nudes that she had sent to her then husband Ryan Reynolds are available on the internet, which is terrible.
Wait,
You
she
shouldn't
was married
steal.
to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is an asshole. He went from Scarlett Johansson to Blake Lively.
I don't know. He's a legend. He deserves it.
I did not know they were married because wasn't he with like Alanis Morissette before that?
Oh, possibly, but he was married to Scarlett Johansson for a few years, definitely.
Man, you think I would have known that?
Then he did a movie called The Green Lantern, and he pulled a Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that was
bomb.
awful. He also played Deadpool in an X-Men movie.
Yeah, he did. But then he went back and killed that version of Deadpool in the end of Deadpool 2.
That is true. He also killed Wolverine.
Yeah, he did.
And now he is Pikachu, detective. Detective Pikachu.
That movie looks sweet.
I'm not gonna lie. The more I see the trailer for that, the more I think it looks hilarious.
I feel like that's a movie you have to go too high.
I could do that.
Like you have to go see Detective Pikachu high. Like there's gonna be like real life Pokemon. Pikachu talks, and it's Ryan Reynolds' voice. Like you need to be under the influence of something to go see that film.
I worry that all the funniest moments are probably in that trailer, like when they're interrogating Mr. Mime.
Yeah,
Jumps at him and hits the fake wall.
yeah, yeah. I could definitely see that being the case.
Yeah, they're on Psyduck, so they wrote me in immediately.
Yeah, this is one of the movies where the more I see the trailer, the more I like it. Whereas Shazam, the new DC movie that they clearly like, we need a funny one. The more I see the trailers, the more I'm like, I don't want to watch this movie.
I'm in for that one.
I'm in for Shazam. I think Shazam's gonna be pretty good.
I would have preferred a Kazam remake with a Greek Freak or something.
It's gonna have a Superman cameo. I heard.
Yeah, the rumor that they wish we can go back to more Superman stuff because there's The Witcher coming out. Speaking of Henry Cavill, but yeah, rumor is now that they, after lying and saying that they didn't do it, that they actually did do it. And so it'll be or that it won't be Henry Cavill. It'll just be like a headless shot where Superman's in it briefly. But
maybe he'll teach him to fly.
He's gotta teach him some kind of.
Why would you use a half pipe? Use something with a soft landing.
You're a 12-year-old kid. What are you gonna do? Like, you find what you can.
Find a swimming pool or something so you land in something soft.
Yeah, and Spider-Man, whenever he tried it, he was on top of buildings. Like, why would you go there first?
Yeah, in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's what I told him. You just got to go for it.
Yeah.
It's lesson. I haven't seen that one.
I have renewed faith in DC, though.
In The Dark Knight, the only way he got out of that pit was to do it without the rope. You can't have that safety net. So I guess you should use a half pipe.
That's The Dark Knight Rises, sir. Get it right.
Sorry, that's true. That was him rising.
Yeah.
I went back and watched that, and it just seemed like a whole bunch of monologues over an intense score. Like I couldn't get into it like I used to.
I'm still mad they used Tom Hardy. It's such a pointless character to have a really good actor in.
Was he really considered that good at the time that he was cast, though?
I think he was, because was that after Inception?
I think it was after. It was at JGL, too.
Yeah, but I think that it had filmed before Inception blew up, though. So it was kind of one of those last films where he was still rising.
They obviously thought he was a really good actor to have him play a character who's supposed to be gigantic when he's 5'8".
Is he only 5'8"?
Something like that. He's not a tall dude.
He'd be an ideal Wolverine.
It's like a perfect movie to have someone like The Rock or Jason Momoa play where they're actually really big, and because their face and voice doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah. Or get the guy now who plays the Mountain, who actually is the world's strongest man.
Ooh, or Tom Hardy on Google is listed at 5'9". Played a character that's supposed to be a roided up giant. What's his name? Who plays in Guardians of the Galaxy? He would have been good. The red dude.
Dave Bautista.
Dave
Bautista.
Drax. That would have been good.
Awesome.
Hopefully we get Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I don't know if I want one now.
It's James Gunn's script.
Yeah, it's his script, and the rumors that they're trying to get the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok, don't ask me to pronounce his name, to get him to come in and direct it. Which I think, okay, that's probably the right director tone that you want for Guardians. Oh, did he?
Said no?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was,
I think the whole cast should have said they were going to not do it if they didn't bring Gunn back.
That's tough because they are technically under contract, and they all did publicly come out and support him with like a signed statement that they want him in to do it.
Which
and
did
Disney
nothing.
Disney overruled them.
Well, they gave him a meeting.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know. It is all dumb. I think we got to stop searching for things to hate people about.
Like the John Wayne stuff.
And give people the chance to have the benefit of the doubt on growing and changing.
Yeah, tweets 10 years old from. Yeah, and that's the thing that really kicks me about that is the tweets were brought up because he was, some conservatives got mad at him for being political, and I get that, but he had already, since those tweets came out, written and directed the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy films and helped produce Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, and then you're going to fire him because something he did prior to all this success for you and being a great guy throughout the process comes to light. And I don't believe for a second that Disney didn't know about it. Like, they do background checks on all their people these days. You didn't know about this beforehand? It just became a thing all of a sudden, so you took action on it? Really?
If you delete your Twitter account, does it delete your old tweets? Because you can delete old tweets.
But you can't delete screenshots.
No, so if people already have the screenshots, they can find them. But what happens is people just scroll through your old tweets until they find something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Now this stuff with Liam Neeson.
Oh God.
From 40 years ago, where he's just admitting to having an angry, and it was only a racist thought because the person who murdered his friend was black. So it wasn't that he was like, I hate black people.
And he
Now is an excuse to try and kill a black person. It was a black person killed my friend. I kind of hope someone starts some shit with me and I can get revenge. Even, what's his face?
Which I feel like is just human nature. Like,
He explained his thought process. and he
Exactly.
didn't
yeah.
have Surges. I don't think he should.
And it was 40 years ago. Even the guy from The Daily Show, what's his face? Trevor Noah was like defending it. His only criticism was like, why did this come up? Like, why did you tell us? But why are we mad at him for volunteering it? Like, there's nothing to be mad about.
Was it tied into his new movie?
Yeah.
The movie looked pretty good.
He was talking about Cold Pursuit, where he plays a father who kills. I actually went and watched it. It's not as funny as the trailers make it seem. They edit it in a way that makes it like for example, in the trailer, he goes to his friend, and his friend says, "What makes you think you can kill somebody?" And in the trailer, he responds, "I read it in a crime novel." Well, it's not how the conversation actually goes in the movie.
I hate that.
In the movie, the guy says, well, first of all, he's already killed 3 guys. Then this conversation happens. And the guy goes, what makes you think you can kill somebody? And he says, well, I've already killed 3 guys. And then he's like, well, what did you do with the bodies? And he's like, oh, I rolled them up in chicken wire and threw them in the river.
Rolled it up
And then the guy says, where did you learn that? And he says, from a crime novel. So it's not as funny of a response after the rest of the conversation. It's kind of actually logical. Like, oh, you did all these things, and then where did you learn that last part? Oh, okay. Because if you use chicken wire, just so you guys know, in case you're thinking of killing anybody, keeps the body from bloating and floating back up to the surface, but leaves holes so fish can chew at the body, hopefully getting rid of most of the remains.
Interesting.
So keep that in mind.
All right, next time I commit a murder, I'll do it that way and try it out.
Chicken wire.
I mean, he threw him in a river that goes down a huge waterfall in the Colorado Rockies where it's snow all year. That body's never being found. Those bodies. But other than that, the movie was all right. That also had had one of those storylines that really doesn't affect anything or matter. Like the cops. You kind of see them going along with it, but they never figure anything out. They never do anything. They just keep finding bodies eventually.
You're all about going to the movies these days.
Well, now that I only work 3 or 4 days a week, afternoon movie, so many
Must be nice.
So many old people go to the movies at 1 p.m. on the weekdays.
It's a good deal.
And they bring in their own food. They don't even care. Lady walked in with a Subway bag of food, and it was so loud. Every time she got whatever she was eating, it was like a freaking plastic grocery bag sound.
Shuffling around.
But they just do whatever they want.
And when you're old, who cares? Fuck it.
Yeah, I was surprised. And what's kind of funny is, so I worked at Sears years ago, and it was like, hey, try to get people to get credit cards. Domino's, hey, try to upsell more food. I go to the movies. Do you got a AMC card, rewards card? Nope. Never offer. I've not had a single person be like, do you want one?
Nice.
Do you know what? I had one in the past. I think it's more now because now they include that whole like 3 movies a week thing. So I think it actually costs like $20 a month. They don't have the old rewards card that was like $10 a year and just.
I never bought it.
I definitely earned my money back in credits for food.
Nice.
But yeah, I like going to the movies. It's one of the few things I like doing by myself and not having to deal with anyone else.
That's why I like going to concerts by myself. You don't have to worry about dragging someone else along. You don't have to worry about if they want to leave.
I like getting
That's a
invited to
good point,
concerts,
yeah.
though. No one ever invites me to concerts because I don't really listen to music, but I like going to concerts.
It's a good plug for our new music podcast. Look out for that.
Are you guys going to do it?
Jared wants to, yeah.
So Jared Johnson, who's been on, we've mentioned much times, we're joining Transistor FM, which is the podcast supplier or whatever that he's using, because they let you have more than one podcast on it, where ours, we would have to just add it as new episodes. And eventually, hopefully, start a network with him. But yeah, he keeps coming up with more and more ideas for podcasts. And he was doing a music one where they listen to a new album and talk about it or something.
Yeah, we'll get a suggestion from either a listener, just each other.
Problem
And
is
then
we
we're gonna
can't.
do-
We haven't been able to get any feedback on anything
I know. It's
in
gonna
like
be-
5 months.
Well, it'll probably just be like me asking Lori.
Yeah.
But then we're gonna do it solo though, so that way we don't always have to be together to get it out.
Yeah, it'd be good to do a solo podcast at some point because it's hard getting guests. Ryan, I want to sometime next month figure it out when we can do a pre-final season of Game of Thrones podcast and then try to do a weekly one.
Oh, Game of Thrones.
A weekly-
I was getting asked about my predictions for that just today. Like, when you guys, I remember a few weeks ago, you guys were kind of talking theories, right? Was it the hookers you were talking theories with?
I
I don't remember.
don't know.
Everybody's always talking about theories for Game of Thrones
Well,
now.
we talked about it with Brad like last week a little bit. I don't think we got into theories. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to save it because I do want to do because it'd only be 7 episodes. One
It's
pre-
6. Oh.
one pre-final season episode, kind of recapping where everybody's at and doing predictions, and then do review episodes.
Is there an after show for this? Like Talking Dead or whatever?
They had one
There's-
on HBO. The Ringer had a Game of Thrones after show on HBO.
Yeah, they do one with Concepcion and
Well, no, they do
Right.
I don't know who it's with, but yeah, it's an actual like show on HBO, not just a podcast.
nice.
They also had their binge mode recap of like all the seasons. I think the first 6 seasons. I think they did that after season 6 for all of them.
Oh, I can't wait.
I feel like that would, at least for podcasting, maybe a few of my Facebook friends would listen to it.
Just for Game of Thrones hype.
I've been very because at least it's a topic people actually like. Very disappointed in the Facebook support or lack thereof.
Can't really expect much from people.
I don't ever look at my Facebook. I have Messenger on my phone, but aside from that, I don't ever actually go onto profiles anymore.
Well, I'll pretend like that's why. I just ask people to subscribe. It's just a button.
Yeah.
I do. My phone automatically downloads your podcast every week as soon as it's available.
I think we have like 12 people total that's the case on.
I
And
don't-
like 4 of those are like my family members who I've subscribed on their phones. Because if we put out an episode and I haven't like put it on Facebook or Instagram or anything, we get about 12 downloads. And then I start posting on Instagram and Reddit, and then we get some more.
That's not bad.
The last 2 have not been good at all for some reason. We were on a steady uptick where we were getting for like 5 episodes in a row, we were getting at least 40 downloads, and then the last one it has like 71, which is kind of weird, and then the last 2 got like nothing. So I don't know.
I followed your YouTube channel as well. Well, you plugged that in one of your podcasts a while back, and I was sitting down at my computer, and I went and I followed the YouTube channel.
We need to find more reasons to use it because we were doing the live streams, which are fun. We did the Seahawks Cowboys playoff game, which was cool. That ended up getting over 100, almost 200 views. I didn't know people will just like go on YouTube and just look for live streams of stuff.
Yeah.
That's basically what the generation below us does for TV and entertainment.
Because we had some guys chatting with us on there who were like, no idea who they were. Yeah, that one got 166 views. But all of our podcasts go up there right now, but nobody views them on YouTube. Like there's literally 2 with 0 views.
Gotta have it there though.
Yeah, no, I just like having the YouTube channel. It's fun to do the live streams on stuff. It's hard to schedule it though.
Yeah.
It sounds like we all need to get into a fantasy football league with everybody that we've been having on the show and everything.
I have
Do
a
a fairway-
podcast league.
Fairweather Friends League. Should we do one like the Man League, a massive 16-team?
We should try and get as many people from the podcast as we can.
Or we could just do. We could also do. Cause if we get too many people, do just like a pool,
Yeah.
picking games and stuff. I don't know. This is tough. This toughest thing about the show is how to do topic, because it's so general. Like, we don't have any topics that people are like, oh, I want to listen to them talk about that thing.
That's true.
We never even know what we're going to talk about.
Weekly content when the NFL comes around again.
I figured we were going to be talking about Game of Thrones. I'm disappointed with the lack of Thrones that we've actually discussed, to be honest.
We can talk more of it now.
I'm just kidding.
Save it for the actual show coming up. But like I said, I've been rewatching it. I saw The Red Wedding a few days ago.
We got pretty heavy into Marvel right there for a second.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for Marvel too. Thrones, I waver on like my excitement level. Like I kind of forget about it and then I remember again. It's kind of
been
like
so long.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the football season's coming. Like training camp will start. You're like, oh yeah, and then after a little bit, you're like, oh, who cares?
Yeah.
And then preseason games, you're like, oh yeah, football's coming. It's only a month away.
And then someone tears their ACL.
5 weeks, and then you get 2 shitty preseason games, and people get injured, and you're like, who cares?
Le'Veon Bell decides not to report when you've kept him in your dynasty league.
My dad in our other league, where you got to keep one player, kept him.
Worst pick of all time.
We had.
He was my most expensive player in Dynasty this past season, and he didn't play a game.
Yeah, we had Spradlin on our thing who drafted him and didn't handcuff him. Jeff Spradlin, one of our guests, because he didn't know. He said he was going in zero preparation, and he definitely had zero preparation. James Conner carried one of my teams, although not good enough because I missed the playoffs by a game. But I would have been really screwed if I didn't have him. Yeah, no, I'm getting excited for Game of Thrones. Like I said, I'll binge like 3 or 4 episodes and then take a couple days off because I need to pace myself so I don't finish too early.
It's such an emotional investment to watch Game of Thrones for me. I get so tied up in it anymore that I'm going to be depressed when it ends. We'll see. I'm just not going to have a happy ending. If Game of Thrones has a happy ending, I will be pissed.
It'll be like the last Harry Potter. They'll kill off a few people.
One of the big 3 is going to die. That was the conversation I got into today, was which of the big 3 dies.
Who do you consider the third big 3? So Jon, Dany, and...
Tyrion,
okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so for this episode, we always do it's like we did beer for the sponsor because of you. We always do a little thing into the intro. For you, I already decided. I'm editing in Tyrion saying, "That is what I do, Jon Snow. I drink and I know things."
That's a beautiful line.
That will have been in the intro. It's got to be one of my. It's definitely probably one of my 5 favorite lines in Game of Thrones.
I feel bad that I haven't touched any alcohol during this podcast.
We were drinking in the first few of them, and then I've slowly stopped. I just kind of forgot about it. I needed an energy drink today. I've been up since 4:45. Worked a 12-hour shift.
See, that's me though. I wake up at 4:40 every morning, so I don't touch any intoxicants on work nights because I'll just not get restful sleep.
And I drink so much while I'm working. Like I drink so much water, and then I'll have one energy drink usually. I wake up at 2 a.m. to pee every night like an old person. It drives me nuts. And you got to get up at 4:45. The worst time to wake up is between 2 and 2:30.
Yeah,
because you're not getting back to sleep.
Yeah, you're never getting another REM cycle in.
Do you want to give your? I think one of my other favorite Game of Thrones lines. They're all involving Tyrion, almost all of them. When God, why am I so bad with names? When the spider is a spider, that's his nickname.
Varys.
Varys. When he tells Tyrion that even a small man can cast a large shadow. Such a simple and good line.
I think my favorite line in the show, just off the top of my head, other than the drink and know things, is when Arya slaughters all the Freys and she pulls off Walder Frey's face and turns to his wife and just goes, "When people ask you what happened here, tell them the North remembers. Tell them that winter came for House Frey," and then walks off like a badass carrying Walder Frey's face in her hand.
Yeah, fuck the reigns of Castamere at that point.
Yeah.
It's funny because I kind of forgot in season 3. So after the Red Wedding, Bran ends up telling the story to Samuel Tarly about how, is it the Rat King?
Yep.
Where the guy, basically the guy gets cursed basically not for murdering someone and feeding him to his kids, but for not. But the king gets cursed because he didn't. Kind of butchering it. Just because he disrespected people in his house, like he didn't show. When someone comes to your house, you got to give them like respect and stuff or whatever. Like you offer them food and drink or whatever.
They've got severe hospitality customs in Westeros, which is part of what made the Red Wedding so horrible.
Yeah, so in the story, a guy feeds a dude's kids to him in a pie.
Nice.
Well, then that's what,
The Cartman.
spoiler, Arya does that 3 or 4 seasons later. Like you forget about that story, which was totally a setup for that moment later on. Because it's not in the. I don't think he tells that story in the books.
He does.
Does he?
Yeah, the same premise. He tells it to. I don't know if Sam is there yet, but they're hiding out at one of the abandoned castles in the wall, trying to go through.
Just tells the other people
the
reads.
Yes. I think it's actually Mira Reed telling it to Bran.
Okay, I have to reread the books, but I'm not going to do it till I know the next one's coming out for sure.
I don't even know if I'm going to do it then, because I don't believe we're ever going to get the final book.
I keep reading these series on. So with Amazon Prime, you can get books for free on e-reader, the Kindle app.
Right.
I keep accidentally reading series that aren't finished, and it pisses me off. I get to the last book that's like available, and I realize that the series is not going to be over at the end of it, and that's happening to me right now in the one I'm reading, and I'm like, God damn it! I'm sick of reading series that aren't done, and I never remember and go back to them. Do you want to?
Oh, I said most of my reading is on audiobook anymore. I'm about to start the Witcher books.
I wish I
Those
could
are pretty
listen
good.
at work, but I can't because we have to have earplugs in. But we also still have to be able to hear people if they yell to us.
Leave one in.
I got a 35-minute commute every morning to get downtown, so audiobooks seem like a good way to kill it.
Yeah, mine's like 15 minutes. Do you want to give your Game of Thrones prediction?
For which of the big 3 dies? Or like who's on
Which, if any of them die, who ends up on the throne?
I think that Daenerys will break the wheel. And I don't think there will be a united 7 kingdoms anymore. I think they will revert to being individual kingdoms. And I think that the war will kind of fracture the countryside enough that there maybe not be 7 kingdoms, but I don't think there will be a united Westeros anymore. I think that's the bittersweet, is I think that Jon and Dany will retire to Dragonstone, and maybe they'll be like the protectors of the realm sort of thing, high king or queen, but they won't be like the absolute authority anymore. Like Sansa will probably end up being queen of the north kind of thing.
So you think they'll be together?
I do. I think Tyrion dies.
I mean, the way it should be, Dany, it should be the south, the north, and Dorne. Dany should be the queen of the south, Jon should be the king of the north, and then let Dorne do whatever the fuck they want. But what I think...
There's no more Martells, though. The Martells are extinct.
Nobody else wants to go there. Like, they talk about the north and Winterfell and how nobody wants to live in the north who doesn't, already live up there. But even less people want to go to Dorne. The desert. Like, nobody wants to go to Dorne. Like, you don't ever hear people about people traveling back and forth, really. But what I think will happen, I think Jon is going to ultimately end up sacrificing himself for Dany. I think Jon will die.
Well, why would you kill him twice? You're going to kill a guy twice? Really? That's the thing that bothers me with Jon dying. Like, you're going to kill a guy twice? Really?
Spoilers, Ricky.
And Dany dying in childbirth would just be so... that would be awful. That would just not be fulfilling for her character at all.
So you assume she's pregnant too?
Oh, yeah. Boat baby's real. They foreshadowed it so hard in that final episode where she was telling Jon that she can't have kids, and Jon's like, well, who told you that? The witch who murdered my husband. Has it ever occurred to you that may not be a reliable source of information? Like, the one joke Jon Snow makes all series long is about Dany being able to get pregnant. She's definitely pregnant with his baby.
God, doing my rewatch too, I realized that was the third instance of incest in the show, because Theon gets a little too familiar with his sister on the ride back up to the...
Yeah, I mean...
And she knew who he was.
That's the creepy part about that, more than anything, is he making an innocent Well, I don't want to say innocent.
He
was taking advantage of
a chick he just met.
Yeah, but she knew and just let him go for it. That's kind of.
She said she wanted to get to know him now.
She's
got to know him.
But she's gay, her character, right? So.
Oh, she's bi. She's
bi. Yeah.
She definitely has a female hooker on her lap at one point.
Well, and she hooks up with the Red Vipers lady, Hilaria Sand.
Yeah, I guess I don't officially show it, but yeah, like I said, I'm going through this rewatch. I gotta rewatch the later seasons because the earlier ones that I've already rewatched now, it's like the third or fourth time, but seasons like 6 and 7, I think I only watched once.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's what sucks about like starting over. You get caught watching the first like 4 seasons, and then
I think 2 out of the 3 Sand Vipers are hot too, and the not hot one isn't like bad looking at all.
Yeah, the problem is like the one that goes topless for Braun when they're in the prison. She's like a solid 9.5 at worst. And
so, who would you say is the hottest chick from Game of Thrones?
Ooh.
You were a big Emilia Clarke fan, right?
Yes, Brunette.
I always thought she was a little overrated.
Brunette Emilia Clarke, though. I don't go for the blonde wig. That doesn't do anything for me. Would it have to be either her? It has to be. The thing with Emilia Clarke too is when you see her not in character or anything, she's actually hilarious as well. So I feel like she would just be a lot of fun to go hang out at a bar with and just. But I know they're acting and it's a personality, so who knows?
She had didn't she do the viewing for charity and then Kit Harington jumped in on that too, and they ended up with like a group from Game of Thrones who did like a charity viewing one year where it got auctioned off like $150,000 or something like that.
To Brad Pitt.
Jeez, of course.
Yeah, I remember. So it was supposed to be just her. She offered to do it, and then to sweeten the deal at the moment of, she like talked Kit Harington into joining in, and Brad Pitt bid on him.
That's right. I forgot about that part. It was Marjorie Tyrell. I think she was up there. She's probably top 3 or 4 for me.
Yeah.
For sure. Because also I've seen her in other stuff too. In fact, she was Captain America, First Avenger. Back to Marvel.
And the Tudors, when she was Anne Boleyn.
The Tudors, though, yeah. That's when I saw her before Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. No, I had already seen Game of Thrones, actually. But, yeah, she's hot in that.
Missandei.
Missandei's my favorite, actually. She is my favorite.
That was a pleasant surprise in the last season.
Dude, she got a eunuch hot. That's how hot she is. She got a eunuch horny.
Yeah, Missandei is quite nice.
So the Unsullied, Ricky, which was one of the questions earlier about the ones who kill the slave babies to prove they have no mercy. Uh-huh. They're eunuchs. Dicks cut off as kids, trained as soldiers, and sold as basically slave soldiers. Yeah, Missandei, which you haven't seen yet either. When Dany starts freeing slaves, she also asks for Missandei, who's like the interpreter slave. Yeah, she's so hot. She got a eunuch horny.
That scene also started the rule that my gamer friends kind of started I instigated, where in order to be a great man, all great men are good at cunnilingus. Because Jon Snow does it in the cave with Ygritte. And then,
the first thing he did sexually.
Yeah. And
he
then
never hooked up with anybody. He went straight for that.
Grey Worm. So, in order to be a great honorable man, you have to be good at going down on a lady, which no woman is going to argue with. So, good rule to have.
Did they call that? I feel like in the book they called it the nobleman's kiss. But then when I was rewatching, she asks Jon about it, and he's like, I don't know.
I just wanted to kiss you there. A very Jon Snow answer to that.
He's just like, I just wanted to kiss you there. I'd never done it.
And now they're married.
Oh, did they stay together in real life?
Yeah, in real life, they're married now.
She shot him with 3 arrows, that bitch.
Yeah.
She got hers, though. Did the kid shoot her with an arrow, too?
In the show, in the books, I think it was left ambiguous as to who killed her. Could have been anyone. He just knows that it wasn't his arrows because he was also firing in the direction where she was shot. So,
yeah, Natalie Emmanuel. She was also in the last 2 Fast and the Furious movies.
Oof, yeah, she's a good looker.
Google that.
Miss Cindy. Yeah, one of the Sand Vipers is super hot. Let's see, Marjorie Tyrell, Daenerys.
I've never seen any Furious movies yet.
I'm blanking.
Waiting for it to end.
And now they've got Hobbs and
Hobbs and Shaw.
People love Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa, but she doesn't do it for me.
well, and she
Maybe-
was too young when the show started.
Yeah, but now she's appearing like half naked on every other magazine. Like you go down to the grocery store and you see her in like a bikini on the cover of a magazine and stuff. She's
I have trouble sexualizing these girls that were kids when I first became aware of them, and I was an adult. It's not like when we were kids. We were kids when Lindsay Lohan was a kid, so it was all good. We grew up together. But now, when they're 13 to start the show or 14, it's too weird.
That's good.
I can appreciate that. It does, especially when you go back and rewatch the show and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's classic. tall, skinny, redhead.
She's a blonde in real life.
Is she okay?
Yeah.
I'm blanking on who else is. I remember I was watching it. I was like, man, there is really just a ton of.
Roz the whore.
Roz the whore is very attractive. So is Shay. Shay is very cute.
Yeah.
They're not in character though.
Shay's got a great personality in the show too.
Wasn't she an actual porn star in real life before becoming like a semi-legitimate actress?
It sounds familiar.
Now, that might have just been a rumor I had heard and not actually true, but I feel like I had heard that.
That's Shay.
Yeah, Shay. She's fun because in the show she's mouthy.
Yeah.
She talks back to the guy who pays her for sex. Tyrion.
Yeah.
And then she ultimately betrays him. Spoiler.
She's a German actress. That's what it says.
She's German. There's so many different accents in that show. It makes no sense if you stop and analyze it. You're like,
well,
all
I
these
mean,
people cannot be from the same place.
They try and do that, and then you have people getting mad because there's not enough minorities in the show, and it's like you understand there's a bloodline thing they're trying to go with. Like Westeros is Europe basically, but it is what it is.
Remember when they got all mad because who was the singer who made an appearance?
Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, Ed Sheeran did.
Ed Sheeran. Everyone got all mad about it. It's like he just sits there. I think he said one line.
Isn't the song
He sang a song as she rolled up, but then he was not the focal point of the scene beyond that. Like,
No, he's just sitting around the fire. He just
yeah,
who cares?
there were actual actors doing that. But
They had the other big name actor who plays the priest, and then he just dies the same episode or the next one.
the reason that started the Hound's redemption arc.
Yeah, he's in in fact, at the movies the other day, he was in back-to-back trailers. There's a John Wick 3 and then another movie.
Oh gosh, I can picture his face. I couldn't tell you his name though.
He's got a great voice.
He does have a great voice, and he was great in that role too.
In fact, in both the movies that I saw him the trailer in, it's all he does in the movie is just talk.
It's cool whenever they hide celebrities in there and you don't know it's them.
Yeah, but with Game of Thrones, it gets out and then it becomes publicized for 6 months beforehand. That's the problem. It's cool when you're just like, hey, wasn't that... I remember Anchorman. The first time I saw that, Jack Black's appearance.
Yeah.
He's a biker. He rides up next to a car. So the first time you see him is a burrito being thrown in his face. And I remember recognizing him, but just turning to my friend Kyle, who was... I was like, was that Jack Black? And it looked like he's just done. That's the end of him. And then he rides back up and all the other stuff happens and he kicks a dog off. Holy shit, that really was Jack Black. It was awesome.
The best one of those is Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2.
I
one.
never spot him still. It never looks like him.
Will
He's
Ferrell.
invisible, but right?
Wedding Crashers.
Will Ferrell at Wedding Crashers.
That was a good one as well.
Meatloaf, Mom! We want the
The
meatloaf!
first time you see that, you're like, Will Ferrell, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's good.
All
All right.
right, well, this one's been going for about an hour and a half. It's about our normal.
It's not bad.
I can talk nerd with you guys all night, but
That's what I like about the show is we really don't have shit planned out. Literally, the only plan was, other than Fans and Phony, was MMA, which we got rid of pretty quick. I never did ask on that if you feel like it's going to get oversaturated and that'll hurt it. I know one guy at my new job already mentioned he's doing the ESPN Plus because it's only $4.99 a month.
I've
So
done
a
that.
year of that costs basically the same as one pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I never pay for my pay-per-views.
Well, so what he basically said he's going to do the ESPN Plus and then just ignore the pay-per-view ones.
The problem with that is the pay-per-views are going to have title fights. Like ESPN was blessed when UFC gave their inaugural ESPN Plus Cejudo versus Dillashaw, which ended up being a bust of a fight that was ended too soon. But that's the only title fight they're going to have on there. So all title fights are going to be pay-per-view.
But do you think are they really? So
It's always been that way. Like very rarely is a fight night a title fight.
So
you don't
Wait a
think
minute.
ESPN will have it in their deal to get a certain number of title fights a year or anything?
They might, but then they really are going to have to add more divisions because they're going to need to find more title fights to be had. Because if a champion gets hurt, and they're out for 3 months or 6 months, which like Robert Whittaker had to pull out just last weekend or whatever because he got a hernia 12 hours before he was supposed to go into the fight.
Ouch.
So, and he's a great fighter, but he can't stay healthy to save it. He's another one like Cain Velasquez. They're made of glass. They're talented as all hell, but they just can't stay healthy. Which, when you're when you're fighting for a living, it's kind of expected, I suppose.
So it's basically like Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
So you don't think that it's going to oversaturate MMA and hurt the popularity?
I know a lot of people like Bellator more than UFC.
Do they like it more, or are they like that they're, the more talented fighters are in UFC. Dana White, I think, is becoming oversaturated, and I think that the UFC would be better if he took a step back and wasn't such a public face of it, and it was more driven by the fighters than the president of the company.
Like Jerry Jones.
Yeah, he needs to be
Feel
less
like-
Jerry Jones.
I feel like he has kind of taken a step back ever since that McGregor Khabib thing that happened. He was front and center after that, and then I feel like he kind of has fallen into the shadows since then a little bit.
He's fallen into the shadows because he has active feuds with like half the champions on the roster. So whenever they're publicizing fights, he can't stand to be around them and vice versa. So he just falls into the shadows because the champion has to promote the fight the champion's fighting in. Like Tyron Woodley, your 175-pound champion, hates him. Henry Cejudo, your 125 champion, doesn't like him. For a long time, Stipe Miocic was the heavyweight champion, hates him. It just goes on. Like there's a lot of feuds that are going on where exciting champions don't want anything to do with Dana White. And Bellator is becoming more successful, and they're offering more money. So now people are asking out of their contract with UFC to join Bellator or One MMA, which is where Mighty Mouse went. Speaking of a Washington guy from Puyallup, Washington, fights out of Puyallup and Kirkland. He went to One MMA along with Sage Northcutt and a couple other big names. Eddie Alvarez went to One MMA.
Do you know if those other ones, Bellator and One MMA, have similar rules on fighters advertising? Like I know in UFC they can't have anything on their shit except Adidas, right?
I think those ones both still you can put your sponsors on there, and it's Reebok, or you can put like official sponsors
Oh yeah,
of the
Reebok.
UFC on
Adidas.
on your shorts. So like you could have Monster Energy drinks or like Gatorade protein, whatever. Whatever the official
Milk.
sponsors are.
Fight
But
Milk, the number one weight loss supplement in the MMA.
But for most of the fighters, the Reebok deal is actually pretty good. Maybe like the really high-end guys and the champions maybe losing a little bit of money. But for lower caliber fighters, they get paid pretty well to rep
What
Reebok.
is this? Communism?
Well,
Equal for everybody?
it's not equal, but there is a minimum. So you get...
I do feel like the more something is on, the lower the individual ratings will be. You see it with the major North American sports. Baseball's got the most games. Each game gets lower ratings.
How about football? The new league of nobodies coming out and beating the NBA.
Well, it tied the NBA. Well, that was going to be my counter. Was like with the NFL, is the high ratings and the reason people like football because it's more rare because there's less games, or do they just like it because it's violent? The combination of violence and skill.
It's a funner game to watch overall.
It is, but I think there is something to that, though, where it's like I have 4 months out of the year, and only on Sunday I get to sit down for several hours and just enjoy football. And then I don't have to worry about it the rest of the week. Maybe Monday night game is worth watching. I hate the Thursday night games. I think the Thursday night games are oversaturated, or are oversaturation.
Should just do Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean they
It's
won't
nice
do
on
they
the
won't do
playoffs.
Saturday till the very end of the year because of college football.
Yeah.
But and why Thursday? Why not Friday then? Like give them an extra day. Like the
High
worst
school.
part about it is
High school football. They have a rule where they don't compete with college or high school.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But so the question then is, will MMA stay as popular and or get more popular because it's a violent sport? Is that like the?
It's interesting, and I don't know that there's a right answer on that. I think there'll be an initial surge with ESPN, and then it'll taper off for a while. But MMA is only getting more popular at the low level in terms of like kids doing more karate and combat sports, or younger athletes that are talented athletes getting involved with the sport. And as that level of participation grows, you're going to get more talented people at the top. Because for a long time, the UFC just celebrated their 25th anniversary last year, right? The first 10 to 15 years, they had very few. You had George St. Pierre. And like that was, yeah, you had very few high caliber fighters. Now you have many more of them because the sport has gained popularity. And as that continues to progress and more people get involved in the sport because they can see, hey, it's on ESPN, it's a legitimate sport, you're going to get better athletes and more talented fighters, and the entertainment product will be better.
I remember talking about that with when Ronda Rousey kind of had her peak and went away real quick. Was she was like the last of the women fighters where she was the last solo dominant fighter, I guess.
Mm.
Like with the men, how you had like two really good fighters and everyone else was kind of catching up, and then they did, and you get a lot more parity now. I think Ronda Rousey was the last dominant female who didn't really have competition until she did, and
well, and Ronda Rousey is a perfect case of point. Like, she wasn't the greatest. She wasn't as good as her record indicated. She was just the best of the first wave.
exactly.
She got her ass kicked, and she did get her ass kicked by Holly Holm. Holly Holm was a kickboxing and boxing world champion who then converted to MMA, quickly rose to the right point where she could fight her, and as soon as Ronda Rousey fought a legitimate striking fighter, she got whipped.
Yeah, so she went from having one great woman fighter to all of a sudden there was like 10.
Yeah.
And they passed the belt around like crazy for like the next 2 years, right?
No, it went from Holly Holm to Misha Tate to
there was
Nunes.
like 4 or 5 title fights in a row where the belt passed after Ronda Rousey lost. I remember
There was 3 in a row. So it went from Rousey to Holm, Holm to Misha Tate, who's from Tacoma, and then from Misha Tate to Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes still holds it. And she's defended it multiple times. But Misha Tate, so Holly Holm and Misha Tate are both older. Holly Holm stylistically was a bad matchup for Misha Tate as well, because Holly Holm was a striker and Misha Tate was a high school wrestler, actually in Tacoma, and that's her background is grappling. So she got her on the floor, she kicked her ass. Nunes is a beast, and Nunes is still relatively young. I would not be surprised if Nunes holds the 135 belt for another couple of year.
And she's the one who beat.
She's the one who,
right?
yeah, she's the one who went up in weight and beat Cyborg first time in like 11 years. Well, the 145 belt is kind of, I don't want to say it's meaningless because it's not, but there's not really a 145 division for women. It's like they let people go and fight Cyborg at 145, and then now Cyborg's now the champion, and Nunes has already said she doesn't want to defend the belt because she doesn't like being that heavy. So I don't know what they'll do with the 145. They don't even come out with rankings for the 145 division. Like, they had Holly Holm go up and fight her. They just pull in talented fighters that can make that weight and have them fight Cyborg.
Did LeBron just get hurt?
Chris Paul just like he yanked his shoulder out of the socket.
Weird play between Chris Paul and LeBron James, and then LeBron laid on the ground for a while, but he's kind of a crybaby.
Sorry, I got my update from Bleacher Report. I had to check it.
I mean, I'll definitely be interested to see what this does to MMA's popularity. I don't know. I've been like I said, I think all the best fights were happening during college season, and I was really into this Wazoo football season, so
yeah,
I missed a lot of
Gardner Minshew. Fun to watch.
Minshew.
Yeah.
I hope he gets at least invited to camp and has a chance to compete And then did you see that Wazoo, we got that Eastern transfer, 6th-year senior?
That's
He had to petition for a 6th year of eligibility. He's already graduated. Like, it's so weird to me when these guys transfer after they've officially graduated and they get to stay in college an extra year to play a sport.
I'm watching the video of Chris Paul being a dick.
Yeah, no, he's so unlikable ever since he left New
New Orleans.
LA ruined him. I'll blame LA and not him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that probably hurt LeBron's elbow.
It looked like a
pretty
weird
brutal.
way to go down.
especially if you're getting yanked on.
That might be
Yeah.
best. That might be best for them. Let LeBron sit the rest of the year.
Get a
Tank.
They won't make the playoffs, so
They're not going to anyway. Kings got that spot.
No, they're gonna make the playoffs.
who was it that said today that they were going to? He would bet their house that the Kings make the playoffs.
Someone said that?
Yeah, hold on. Where's that article? Someone said today they'd bet their house the Kings make the playoffs.
I liked the pictures I saw before the Super Bowl where it was like people from both sides who had got the tattoos in advance. It was like, well, one of you is going to look like an idiot.
They've been doing. Yeah, where is this? So Buddy Hield, willing to let it ride on Sacramento's playoff hopes.
Well, at least he's on the team.
Yeah, he said he'd bet his house on it.
He can afford it. If it was a fan, I'd be like, you dumbass. Kings are going to make it. The Lakers, they really have no incentive. The Kings already have so many young players that they almost need to trade a couple of them away anyway.
What do you think happens to the Warriors and the Celtics rosters? Those are the two teams I'm most interested in terms of after the season. I just assume the Warriors are going to win it all again as long as they stay healthy because their starting five is
It's ridiculous.
stupid. But like they're not going to keep that starting five together. I think Kyrie's on his way out of Boston. I'm interested to see like where those pieces go and like how that affects the landscape of the NBA.
I mean, obviously the prediction is that Kyrie and KD both go to New York because they can afford two max guys, and then if they're lucky, they get the first pick also and have
Get
Zion.
Zion.
That'd be insane.
I hope KD goes to Dallas, play with Luka and Porzingis.
I've seen multiple reports that Dallas is now a free agent.
Why wouldn't it be? Who wouldn't want to play? Luka is having a
Luka
better
and-
rookie season than LeBron did, statistically. He's already. I mean, he just about should have been on the All-Star team.
That would be such a crazy trio to have KD with those two. Assuming Porzingis comes back in as Porzingis again once he's healthy and can stay healthy.
He should be able to come back right about now, but they're going to not let him.
There's no reason to.
Which means by next year it'll have been basically a year and a half recovery. So unlike Gordon Hayward, that he's just now hitting a year and a half about now. Not even actually a year and like 3 months.
I actually want Kyrie out of Boston. I don't like it when Kyrie's playing. I think they're worse.
Now Bill Simmons is out on him. Like,
I think they're worse. They were so good during the playoffs without him. And Al Horford is in a decline. I would rather they swap Kyrie for Anthony Davis.
The problem is Anthony Davis probably won't stay without Kyrie there. And the
But he's
Celtics are
smart.
9.
Rozier was really good without when Kyrie went down. Rozier, however you pronounce his name, they were fun to watch and they played good team basketball.
Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Terry Rozier. Yeah. And they're 9-3 without Kyrie this year too.
Yeah. They're just yeah.
I think guys just take too much of a backseat to Kyrie. They're not like Tatum's not as aggressive. He wasn't shooting threes early in the season. He was shooting mid-range jumpers, stuff like that.
I love the theory that Kobe brainwashed him.
Bill Simmons does not like that Tatum worked with Kobe in the offseason.
And does Clay leave the Warriors for the Lakers?
No.
If they get Davis, maybe.
Clay loves
If they get Davis, they won't be able to afford him.
Well, they will if KD and Cousins have both gone.
I was talking about the Lakers. If Clay goes to the Lakers, if Davis goes there, they won't be able to afford both of them.
Yeah, they will because they let KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope will be gone. He's like $18 million. They're not going to re-sign Stevenson and McGee and Rondo. And if they make the trade for AD, unless unless New Orleans makes them take on salary, they should be able to afford another max guy.
But how good are they really going to be, though, if they get rid of Kuzma and Ingram? Like, get rid of Lonzo Ball and like make his father go away, because I'm tired of hearing about that whole family.
Sounds like Kuzma might be off the trade list now. The way
He
he's been
should
playing.
be. Like, if anyone, if should be off it, because he just gives you a legitimate extra option that's just going to put points up. He can get hot on any given night. He's fun to watch. Ingram, I think Ingram's about as good as he's going to be. He might get a little bit better, but I'm just overly... He's a good player, but he was not, like, number 2 overall. I mean, KD was a number 2 overall pick. Like, he's not that good, obviously.
Well, yeah, but that's that's a once in a generation KD. Ingram is still 21 years old, right? He's younger than Kuzma. He was
He's gonna pull
18-year-old coming out of
He's gonna
Duke.
pull that kid, whoever that kid that was a Laker and is now an All-Star with the Nets.
D'Angelo Russell.
There we go. I wanted to say Harris, but I knew that wasn't right.
And Russell still would probably be a Laker if he didn't do a Snapchat video of
But like,
Swaggy P.
but I think that Ingram is gonna be that. Like, he'll get traded to a bad team like the Pelicans, and he'll become their number 1, and he'll be an All-Star on a bad team.
If you look at the stats last year and this year, when Ingram is the primary ball handler, he's legit, which is weird. Because
But they don't win.
6'9".
But they don't win, though, which is my point.
No, but that's because he's only the primary ball handler when LeBron's not there, and when Rondo was hurt and Lonzo was hurt this year. And last year it's when they had nobody. So he's never been the primary ball handler with talent around him.
Yeah.
But he statistically is more efficient. He gets a lot of assists, better scorer.
Long on defense.
He's a good pick and roll ball handler, great passer. He can go around the pick and shoot the three. He's just better with the ball, but they have too many guys who are better with the ball.
That was my argument for taking the Lakers trade deal during the All-Star break, is that Russell developed after he left LA. So,
Yeah.
A lot of guys do.
Getting-
You forget that these guys coming in now are one and done guys, and they're given up on when they're 22 years old, and then they come into their own at 25, 26, which everyone has always said, if you look at it historically, guys peak at 27. So how do you give up on someone at 22?
Well, no, I'm not saying give up on him. I'm just saying. Well, and also, men's males in particular, yes, they do. Well, males in particular, the frontal lobes of their brain, our brains, don't stop developing until we're 25. So we're not mentally mature as an adult until we're 25.
And
That's something to think
sometimes
about.
not even then.
Well, yeah. I mean, case in point, myself. Did you see that the NBA officially proposed to drop the age down to 18 today? For the
No,
draft?
what year?
18. So they have to be 18 at the time of the draft to be eligible.
But when would it go into effect? So I was hearing 2022.
Pull it up and see.
Before it was officially set up, they were talking about that probably being the year. But I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it on this report on ESPN.com.
Well, maybe it'll just be next year then.
Yeah. It's been formally proposed to change it from 19 to 18. So, yeah.
Ooh, some movie called The Wandering Earth, which has already made $500 million in China after 2 weeks, got bought by Netflix.
Interesting.
Crazy.
The last one with the weird animal is like last year. Okla or something.
Oh, no, I never did that. Yeah, what is that? I forget what that's called. I never did watch that. It looked weird.
It was alright.
A glowing review by Ricky. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. That just reminded me because it was centered around Asia. Jake Gyllenhaal was good in it.
He was in that?
Yeah.
Okia or something like that. It was something weird. I know what you're talking about, though. I can picture it. All right. Well, we're like 2 hours here.
Nice.
I feel like we should wrap this one up.
Longest one.
Again, we'll not.
First
Oh,
one?
maybe. The hooks. I forget. I think our NBA predictions one was like 2 hours.
It was
like
a
I
long
said,
one. I remember that one.
It took so long to go through all the teams' win totals.
Yeah, you went one by one through all of them.
We straight copied Bill Simmons and is it House?
House.
Yeah.
Bill and
Love
House.
House.
So like I said, I'll talk to you about the Game of Thrones one. Get that going at some point near the end of March, or beginning of April, really, because April 14th is when the new season starts. And if anyone has ideas, reach out to us on studio name.
Yeah, studio name. Network name? What do you...
Network name for... We've
Flying
been...
Fish?
Jared Johnson, we're trying to figure out a network name. We've gone back and forth between trying to figure out something regional. I actually kind of liked Northern State, but
Yeah,
it
it
is
wasn't bad.
it is also the name of an insane... Oh, that might be a good thing.
That makes it notable. And it's also...
That's a nice. Yeah, the Northern State Insane Asylum Studios.
Yeah, I mean, it's local. We all, the three of us that are starting it, grew up within 15 minutes of it.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of like just the random one, like No Fucks Given.
Yeah.
Just
Woke Ass was pretty good.
woke ass. I don't know if I'm woke. Although, burning for Bernie. I've already seen videos released of Bernie Sanders being a communist, basically.
Ah, jeez.
Promoting it. And then other videos where he sounds like, I don't know. There's going to be so many Democrats running. I don't even know what to do.
After Trump, I think
I don't know what to
Trump
deal with.
supporters deserve a term of Bernie.
The problem with Bernie isn't I genuinely think Bernie cares about doing what's good for the country, but I think the problem with him is he'll be really old when he takes office should he win.
Well, and people were using that excuse last time, and now
He'll be like 79 when he takes office if he was to win.
4 years older this time. It's like shit.
Trump was already the oldest president on Inauguration Day at 71.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
He's 5 years younger.
So
Yeah, that's the other thing that people didn't talk about. It was Bernie looks so much older because he doesn't have a fake tan and a wig. That people didn't realize that the people who were making the excuse that Bernie was too old didn't realize Trump was that close to his age.
well, Trump's also got a really young wife and a young son, so it de-ages him a little bit.
I hope she gets deported.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
I hope the First Lady of the United States gets deported.
Do you think he'd veto that? Give her immunity? It would just be funny.
We can,
It'd be
did you
good.
hear about the lady who moved to Turkey or somewhere and married an ISIS fighter? Now she wants to come back.
Yeah.
Both Britain and the U.S. have issues with that right now, where we revoked the citizenship and Britain revoked the citizenship because they went and joined the Islamic State. And now they're like, no, we're still citizens after they realized, oh, hey, that was a bad idea.
Hate to laugh, but
Yeah, I just saw that last night. It's one of those choices in life that you don't get to come back from all the way.
yeah, she said she had a strict parenthood, so she dove into religion and she got carried away and brainwashed.
You joined a terrorist nation. Like,
You married 3 different fighters.
Oh, did she? 3? I think she's just doing it because of her kid. It's like 18 months now. But yeah, so names for the studio or the podcast network. Any feedback on the show? Anyone wants to come on or have things they want to talk about? Let us know. Nobody ever does. And if you've made it this far,
It's probably Jared. What's up, Jared?
hey Jared, Kyle, you might have made it after
Lori.
18 commutes of your 5-minute commute to work.
Amazon has ideas for future shows. Amazon has both their Lord of the Rings TV show and, Middle Earth TV show and their Wheel of Time TV show starting filming later this year.
They spent an ass ton of money
Nice.
for those Lord of the Rings rights.
Yeah, they did. I'm just happy that Wheel of Time ended up at Amazon as opposed
who
to somewhere
was
shitty.
Who was the network that did the Wheel of Time episode without telling anybody really to try to get the rights?
Yeah, some shady ass studio that kind of had the rights tried to lock them down by paying FX to play it at 1 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah,
So that they could say that it was done.
Sued them.
It's like when it would otherwise have been ads, they paid FX to do that really shitty. Yeah, when it was just like the prologue for the Eye of the World, the first book.
Yeah, but if you like fantasy series and you're okay with really long ones, Wheel of Time, great series. Robert Jordan finished the last 3 by my favorite author, Brandon Sanderson. Definitely recommend it.
Mistborn trilogy is so good. Speaking of Brandon Sanderson,
Mistborn trilogy is top 5 for me of all time series for sure. I even got Tasman to read it.
That has some of the best character development in a trilogy I think I've ever read.
And it's a female lead hero, guys.
Oh, a badass.
Really, the first one is not. She is at the end.
There's 4 proper, like, she's the main protagonist, don't get me wrong, but there's 4 proper heroes in that. Between Vin, Elend, Sazed, and Kelsier, or something like that.
Yeah, Kelsier. I was like, I'm
There we
blanking
go.
on the first guy. I'm so terrible with names, as you guys have seen throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
Great series. I've read it twice. It looks small.
It's not.
It's
It's
it
not.
takes so much longer than you think it's gonna when you see the paperbacks.
I've gone through them in audiobooks, and each one is like 40 hours.
Damn.
So
I never did get that back from Tasman, but
no, I won't call her name.
all right. Well, we'll wrap this one up. Have you on again? I don't know. Sometime.
Well, all right, you guys have a good one.
All right. We'll talk to you later. See ya.
Bye.